Hey, chat. Hey, shorties. Oh, it's so weird having no intro music. Yikes. Just making sure that I'm on the right microphone. Yes. Yes. Hi, good to see you. Good to see you, everybody. Again, what a beautiful conversation. Thank you for coming over to the next one where we're going to do a bit of learning. Yes. Yes. Back for more. Boom. Hey, I'm baffled. I hope we can get rid of some of that baffledness. Is that a word? For you. Amy Boston's here. Beautiful. Kraken's here. Robin G. Shall we say what? Halo and Horns. Love. Kelly. Hi. Prince Lover. Hi. Patricia. Hi. Julie. Hi. Rachel. Hi. Rachel's on Likes Watch. Rachel's on the stats. Love that. Rachel's all about chasing that ratio. Yes. We need to have the ratio always. Poppy's here, standard. She likes to say, hi, Poppy, come on, say hi. Yes, hi. Andrew's here. I can see a narcissist coming 3,000 miles away. And what they never saw coming was me having the upper hand the entire time. Well, actually, that's interesting because I also prided myself on that. I have very direct experience with, lived experience with narcissists, a lifetime of it, but two in particular. My last two relationships were narcissists. And my ego absolutely got in the way, and I believed myself to be the ultimate narcissist spotter. I know all the red flags. I can pick them. I can sniff a red flag, right? I can sniff it and I can set that person away. Unfortunately, I didn't pick this one. So those of you who know, I got a pirate flag tattoo. Love that for me. And people say, cover it up. No, I'm keeping it forever. You know why? That's my reminder to never ever believe that I know everything about anything, because just when you get to that point, suddenly you know nothing. So the tattoo stays. Thank you, Amber. DV hotline in the States. Hi, Mrs. Ash. Rachel says she's a horrible judge of character. I mean, I like to see the best in people. And in the past, that may have been blind naivety. I never will look for the bad in people. But one needs to be a little bit more savvy, right? As I said, I won't ever sit there in my lofty towers of knowledge and research and lived experience. Never, ever again will I go, I've got this. Come at me, narcissist, because, okay, here. Hold my beer, said the narcissist. So, who else? Steph's here. Hey, girl. How are the kids? There were some badass female pirates. I mean, right. Hey, what the duck? Welcome. We're still gonna use this one. I'm getting rid of most of the bumpers. I'm making new ones, but this one's kind of cool. We can't. It's light-hearted, right? So, as if you were, I presume you were all in the last stream. If you weren't, still, I don't need to really lay too much foundation. A little bit, perhaps. Hi, Charles. Good to see you. So here's how we all got to the end result of two people who shall remain nameless, in concert with me and a few others, wondering what the actual fuck, with the one, and I said this in the last stream, but with the 180-degree flip from like love bombing, adulation, together forever and ever, I will always love you, to well, the opposite. Hatred, vile, vitriolic hatred spewing forth, right? Hey, Just Irish, the pirate flags. Yes, yikes. Will they ever be the same? Yoy. And just for a moment, though, can I just pause and say, what do pirates represent? I mean, what did pirates do? True pirates, and still true pirates do. They enter a community that they are foreigners to. They infiltrate they rape and pillage, they loot, they set fire to everything, then they leave. The metaphor is quite frightening now, right? Hey, of course, good to see you. Taryn, thank you. Thank you to all my beautiful moderators. You guys are amazing. Guys, ladies, my ride or dies. Couldn't ask for a better group of friends and a better team. We work together. It's such a beautiful dynamic. I'm so proud of us. The tattoo is part of your life story. It is. It is. Absolutely. So we were thinking this is wild. Like it was wild. It was so disproportionate. Like I said in the last stream with Tiff, it was so disproportionate to have, like it was just a breakup. Who cares? Like I was getting on with it. Realistically, whatever. I wasn't saying anything to anyone. Who cares? So in our minds, we're like a couple of people and a few other of my, also my very good friends, we were like, this doesn't make sense, right? So that this doesn't make sense started us on a path to really thinking, who was the central to all of this? Who was at the center? Who was driving it? The hate campaign towards me. And I know it feels like I'm going on about it, but I'm just trying to get you to a point so you understand the context why we're going to do this series of streams on narcissism and it's an overused term, but this is very relevant here, okay? And not all narcissists are psychopaths, but all psychopaths are narcissists, and we will discover that. So in all the researching, we came, the end result was after a few weeks of like piecing things together and little, this is weird. It just didn't seem to make sense. It just it wasn't aligned with just a simple breakup. It just never was. So we came across the information. It took me probably until like a week and a half ago to acknowledge that this person actually is a narcissist, because he didn't fit my lived experience was with grandiose and malignant narcissists. So we're going to watch some videos of a doctor called Dr. Ramani. You might have heard of her. She's like the worldwide narcissist specialist. And thank you to Shelley for pointing me in the direction of this particular individual, because she is on point. And I've learned a lot of things in the last few days in my researching this. And one of the things is that the covert narcissist generally doesn't have those big, obviously, overt narcissistic sort of behaviors that are like they're not necessarily as charismatic. They're not necessarily, well, they're not. It's like what is? Oh my god, I put it in the description. Let me see, because my brain. Oh, someone just bought me coffees. Thank you. Yum, love coffee. It's in the description. Let me check. Hi, it's me being professional. My brain. There are so many gaps in my brain that I simply do not remember things. Big chunks. No idea. No idea. So what's the term? Here we go. More. Disagreeable extroverts. So a grandiose or malignant narcissist generally tends to be quite extroverted, quite larger than life, very gregarious, but they're disagreeable. There are things that you're like, this guy's a dickhead, or this woman's just painful. And then there's also the disagreeable introvert, and that's the covert narcissist. We're going to come to all of that, but just setting the stage. So I feel like my understanding of narcissists was the more sort of well-known, the over the top, like what the fuck, full of ego. The love bombing is more overt, more extreme, more sweeping you off your feet. It's all the disagreeable extrovert narcissist is much more, I guess, easier to spot for me, and that's the only kind of narcissists that I had really had any experience with. So I'm going to give myself a little bit of a pass there in the fact that I didn't pick up on the more subtle indicators, the red flags in a covert narcissist, a disagreeable introvert. So this can only help all of us in work, in life, and we come across narcissists all the time. Some of them just have some like mildly narcissistic tendencies, and everybody's got a little bit of narcissist in them, right? Like that, ego is human, and you have to back yourself a little bit. That's not being a narcissist. but in life, if you're unlucky enough to end up in a romantic relationship with a narcissist, that's a tough gig. Parental narcissists, at work, a boss, a coworker. There are many places. So this is not just about like lovers and words. It covers the gauntlet, and these videos we're going to watch definitely cover that. Yes, in bad health, anybody can lean towards narcissistic tendencies. Obviously, if you're in bad health, whether it's mental health or physical health, you need to kind of be more, self-absorbed. And can I just say also that sometimes people will make an assumption that neurodivergent people might be narcissistic and have narcissistic tendencies, but it's different. It's not it's not as nefarious. Like true narcissists are fucking bad news, right? Tomorrow night we're going to be covering a theory that's been sort of growing sort of weight in the world of psychology about the dark triad, which they're not personality disorders, but these tendencies, behavioral traits in some people, super dark people, which are like a three-pronged thing, which is psychopathy, narcissism, and Machiavellianism. So we're going to go into that tomorrow night. I had it scheduled for tonight, but I moved it because I thought this was important to lay some ground rules. The only ground rules is be nice, be respectful, be supportive, and get a little feral. Love that for us. Hi, I see Poke here. Hi, Pokemon. Colors. Mwah. Sorry if I often miss the chat a bit in these kind of lives because I'm like blah blah blahing. So I'll try to stay on top of the chat. Keep me on track. Lol. Yeah, we're also going to do a live about or two about female bullying and online bullying. A bunch of stuff coming up. We're going to delve into some of the human mind, and so we can be empowered with knowledge. So let me just present the screen here. I've got so many tabs. It's like my brain. Breaking free. 4 things. So this is the title of the video itself. This could be, well, it is. I've watched it. It's very good. She's very good. Oh my God, it's in my ear.
I spent the whole day. I spent the whole day trying.
Lordy Dordy. See, professionals. We are professionals here. Okay. This and this. So this is Dr. Ramani. She's got like millions of subscribers. She's very good. She's very, very, very good. So the title of this video is well, wait, let me just check. Something. It's called Yikes. Breaking Free, 4 Things That Narcissists Do When Powerless. So it's kind of the temper tantrum thing. And it's almost an hour long. We'll stop it and go along the way and pause for things. But I want you to, when we're watching this, think about people you may know, people you may have come across in your lifetime, people who you may have witnessed certain behaviors of or from in recent weeks. It's fucking bang on, mate.
That the rage and all of the invalidation and the berating and the humiliation finally gets to a person. And they take a stand against the narcissist. The narcissist is masterful at playing the sulking, petulant victim.
So let's talk about the shame rage spiral in narcissism.
You know what?
Now, I recently had the pleasure of reading a 2015 academic article written by Pizan and Johar from Iowa State University, and the article is on narcissistic rage. It was a really great paper that broke down narcissistic rage and the different ways it shows based on whether a person is more of a grandiose narcissist or a vulnerable narcissist.
Hi, Daisy.
But the authors did a nice job of also shedding light on something that is really worth talking about on this channel called the shame rage spiral. Their manuscript,
Yes,
and they were talking about other people's research too.
Thank you, Amber. Good reminder. So I am not a mental health professional. I am not a medical professional. I am not a doctor. I'm not diagnosing anyone. I'm not diagnosing Adam. I'm not Adam Levo Boyd. I have lived experiences. This is a doctor. I think we can all use our critical thinking skills to the examples she gives to that some things will resonate. They might resonate with you yourself. You might have some tendencies. I might have some of these tendencies. This is purely for not entertainment. I guess we're going to learn together. We're going to watch Dr. Ramani together and see what we can learn so that we can put some of this, because that's what she's doing. This doctor, her channel is all about empowering her viewers with the knowledge that she has, her education and training and experience, so that we can go out into life, excuse me, and be better equipped to deal with the people we come across in our daily lives, whether that be parents, as I said, work colleagues, prospective love interests, friends. Very interesting. Sorry about the dirty pause, Dr. Ramani. So sorry.
It brings up a quote from a famous theorist who studied narcissism named Heinz Kohut. And he wrote, "The need for revenge, for righting a wrong, for undoing a hurt by whatever means, and a deeply anchored, unrelenting compulsion in the pursuit of all these aims are the characteristic features of narcissistic rage in all its forms." So it's a fancy way of saying it, but Kohut and many other authors point out basically that if you question a narcissist's reality, they will punch back, which is really interesting because one of their primary maneuvers is to question your reality and gaslight you. Now remember, the narcissist has to construct a false self and an egocentric sense of reality to protect their rather broken, confused, and variable sense of self and self-esteem. So they get really angry if you poke at their grandiose or victimized sense of self, and they get really defensive, rageful, and mean.
Good point. Kelly suggests, excuse me, oh my God, we've started already, chat. Wow. Delightful. I am a fucking delight. If you are triggered, hang in there. You are loved and appreciated by everyone here, and many of us know exactly how you feel. Reach out if you need anything. Thank you. This was tough viewing for me. This is tough viewing for me, but so helpful because I am very triggered by a lot of this. So we're here together. If you do need to step away, please, we'll save you a seat. Of course, we'll save you a seat. And actually, replay crew, Taryn, could you drop that replay crew in for me, please, darling? Replay crew, if you would like to watch the chat, because I won't necessarily, actually, while she's talking, I probably will put stuff up on the screen. But if you would like to watch the chat in replay, it's easy. All you need to do is go to the video after we're finished, and instead of going into comments, just on the comment tab, swipe it left. Is that left to you? No, that's right to you. Swipe it left, and it will give you the option to view the live chat replay instead. That's if you are on a handheld device like an iPad or a phone or whatever. So that. Oh, another dirty pause. Sorry, doctor.
And all that's the stuff I talk about on the narcissistic rage video if you want to check that out. So let's talk about the shame rage cycle. Theorists such as Lewis, who write about shame and mental health in general, have very much described this cycle in a much more scientific, well-articulated way. Basically, when a narcissist gets activated, perhaps someone questions them or does better than them or asks for a little more from them or just simply holds the narcissist accountable. The narcissist experiences two things, kind of in order: shame and then rage. The rage is a manifestation of vindictiveness, retaliation, punishment, in essence, wanting their perceived perpetrator to feel as bad as them. So let's talk about shame. Narcissists are not the only ones who feel shame. We all do. It's a universal emotional state. Shame is a sort of public emotion based on the idea that we will be seen and then subsequently rejected or discarded for our shortcomings, our deficits, our vulnerabilities, and that the uncomfortable parts of ourselves will be exposed to the world. And that's really uncomfortable. And when we don't process our shame, some of which we carry from early childhood, It turns into negative emotional states that can plague us throughout our lives. Negative emotions such as depression, anxiety, hostility, and these appear to be, when they appear, we get triggered, or they get triggered by a shame-inducing event. And why does that happen? Because we're afraid our deficiencies will be seen. Shame harms us from the outside in and the inside out. So narcissists get into a real cycle of anger when their shame is triggered, which actually works well for them. Because at that moment, when they're like, "Ugh, I'm not dealing with this," they aren't having to grapple with the really horrible internal feelings that shame evokes. Instead, what they do is, instead of dealing with the feelings, they just get angry at the person who evoked the shame, whether the other person intended to do so or not.
I just wanted to say, so think about, if we think about the conversation I just had with Tiff, with Uncle Frank, if Tiff were a narcissist, and I would hazard a guess that she's not, I'd suggest that Tiff is actually an empath. Again, not diagnosing, just saying, based on the way her emotional intelligence and her ability to reflect and to think, to have some empathy towards my situation, very, very strong empathy. Tiff could have easily, were she a narcissist, reacted and lashed out, like Dr. Ramani is talking about here, and go on into a shame rage cycle. So this is a really clear distinction between how people handle situations where maybe they're called out on their behavior, and one, there are two forks in the road, one fork in the road, two paths to take, and we all have choices. And if you're a narcissist, or you have tendencies towards being a narcissist, it's going to be very hard to not react the way that Dr. Raman is speaking here.
And then they blame the other person and project feelings onto that person, or they just fully discard them. They want to get ahead of being discarded themselves now that their shame is public. Now, other researchers such as Ruh-roh have pointed out that shame doesn't just elicit rage, it can also elicit a passive-aggressive response, especially in covert narcissists. And this can then devolve into the narcissist ruminating about their plan to finally punish or dominate or control the person who called them out or triggered their shame. So whether it's traditional old-fashioned in-your-face rage, or the passive-aggressive, sullen, resentful, brooding, obsessive rage, the reaction is rage. So then over time, as that does turn more and more into rage, the narcissistic person then chronically starts to rage at people who evoke their feelings of shame. Now, rage isn't good, and people don't judge rageful people well. It's not a good look. So now the narcissist gets stuck in a cycle of feeling shame, lashing out with rage, feeling more shame as a result, lashing out with more rage, and you can see how that escalates. Most of the narcissist rage has a shame-based.
Amy, number 4 of the 4 behaviors that a narcissist will exhibit when they feel like they are powerless is discard. You'll love number 2, chat. You'll love number 2. Yikes.
Origin. And in this way, the entire world can feel like one big shame-inducing threat for narcissists. Thus, they have their grandiosity, their defensiveness, their entitlement. All of these are their suits of armor that protect those narcissists from shame, but they're not always going to work. So the short story is the narcissist's fear of being found out means that they are at constant risk of shame. Inevitably, the shame gets triggered, boom, and then they rage. And this is why so many people get stuck in the eggshell walking cycle around narcissists. Nobody wants to trigger them, but most people aren't clear that the thing that you're actually trying to avoid triggering is the shame, because that's what leads to the rage. It makes it all but impossible to have a healthy relationship with the narcissist, because you never know what's going to trigger their shame, and it may be something that has nothing to do with you. They just take it out on you. They may get triggered because it may happen because you didn't notice that they did something around the house. It may happen because you reject a second helping of something they cooked. It may happen because you get a promotion and they don't. It may happen because you called them out on a lie that they told. It may happen because you caught them watching porn. It may happen because they aren't able to change a child's diaper. It may happen because they didn't get into the college they wanted or the job they wanted. It may happen because their brother bought a bigger house than them.
Scotty, just going to pause there to say, Scotty, yes, no, this is, you can comment. We're not talking, this is not about man, women, domestic violence situations. We're talking about narcissists in society, men, women, there are both, and the behaviors that they can exhibit. We can come across a narcissist of varying degrees anywhere we are, anywhere in life, at work, in our family, in our extended family, in our friendship group, you know, on the internet. So you can comment. This is not, I mean, there's a lot of people talking about their parents who are narcissists. My parents are both narcissists. So comment. Well, this is a bigger discussion than just men controlling women, narcissistic men controlling women. That's kind of not the point.
It may happen because they didn't make their sales quota. It may happen because not enough people like their Instagram post. It may happen because they saw their friend was sharing a new success on social media. It may happen because someone insulted them. So as you can see, all of these are experiences that may reveal the vulnerabilities or deficiencies of the narcissist to the world. And those are the kinds of things that trigger the shame cycle. So you can also see how shame sets off rage, sets off shame, sets off rage. So without understanding it, most people in these relationships live in confusion, walk on the proverbial eggshells, and hope to goodness that things go okay. But that would only work if you're the only person in the narcissist's life. The narcissistic person likely goes to work, or goes to the store, or is on social media, or goes to a social gathering, and something might happen there. And then when they get back to you, they just spread that rage towards you because they need a target. Now, when experiences occur in the narcissist's life that uncover their deficiencies, the cycle is typically then to rage at other people, blame other people, become vindictive towards other people, and then feel more shame when people push back on their bad behavior for generally being a raging jerk. So what are you supposed to do?
Scott, again, I'm not trying to call you out, but I guarantee you have come across narcissists who have these tendencies. I would go so far as to say, as you've been in chats recently of female narcissists who absolutely display all of the things that we're going to speak about, or that Dr. Ramani is going to speak about. Trust me, open your ears, open your mind.
If you're in a relationship with a narcissist, honestly, not much. As a therapist, I get to work with clients who are narcissistic as well as clients who have experienced narcissistic abuse. I must say that the work of shame is the hardest work of all with a narcissistic individual, to let them know that they are just as solid a person with or without the promotion or the better car, or even if they told a lie. My work then becomes to teach them the appropriate ways of addressing those moments without raging at people. And it's a tough battle because the shame sequence gets activated so quickly when a narcissist perceives that they're going to get found out. Maybe some of you are, but in general, with your loved ones, you aren't their therapist to the narcissist in your life. So it's not your role to do this. And listen carefully. And even if you did, it wouldn't work. And the narcissist may rage at you even more and treat you with even more contempt for trying to soothe them. Again, the shame gets activated. This shame rage cycle is why sometimes narcissists will come around with apologies after going on a rage bender. They want to erase it in a way. And if you don't accept their apology, voila, the cycle starts again because their vulnerability was made public. The shame rage cycle is why so often these relationships are almost impossible to fix. The kind of therapy the narcissist requires is hard work, requires long-term commitment, a very skilled therapist, and regular therapy for a very long time. These things are not available to most people, and most narcissists are very contemptuous of.
Scott, I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to call you out, but you're making some good points that I think. So this is not necessarily about feeling threatened by these people, but their behaviors absolutely can impact on one's enjoyment of life, one's enjoyment of an environment like a workspace or a chat or a friendship group. Perhaps we should all have a little bit of mild envy towards Scott's ability to not take on any of these tendencies in life. Sir, I am a sponge, and I wish that I could not notice these things. These are she's talking about. This is an extreme. These are like the shame rage cycle. We've seen a shame rage cycle go on Twitter in the last week. Okay, just saying.
Of therapy. Anyhow, when the therapist really starts going in deep, that's often when they drop out. So perhaps if you understand this cycle, though, it's my hope that you won't personalize the shame rage cycle. There isn't much you can do. There's actually, to me, something quite tragic about this dynamic. That fear, that paralyzing fear of what would happen if someone really saw your faults being such a destabilizing space. And compassion in these spaces can get very tricky. As many of you know, I'm a big believer in balancing on that razor's edge of compassion and self-preservation. And it's a really tough spot with the narcissistic people in your life, especially because in your compassion, you want to be there for someone and not contribute to their cycle of shame. But to be a punching bag for their rage helps no one and is actually very bad for your health. This all brings up larger societal issues of why don't we work with families, and especially with parents, and also with healthcare providers and educators to help people learn to just be okay with themselves, faults and all. Listen carefully again. Shame has no place in a child's life. And for both narcissists, who likely were shamed for not being good enough as kids, and for their victims, who were also shamed for not being good enough as kids, we can see how this cycle puts into place this whole system almost of oppression and victimization of these narcissists who rage and of people who endure the rage. And on both sides, it's happening because of early messages of not being good enough and of shame. Oh, listen, I can't change that tide by myself. It's a societal shift that, frankly, I have to believe will take many generations to happen, if it ever can. But in your life now, right now, if you're stuck in a rage cycle with a narcissist, at a minimum, I hope this sheds some light on it.
Merry Christmas.
Lifts some of the blame off of you and encourages you to seek out the help you need to process this, and lifts the burden of responsibility to be the one who fixes this problem off of your shoulders. The narcissists themselves can and must seek out help to end this cycle. You can't do it for them. So I do hope this illuminates some of this. And also, to give you another example, think of the shame cycle, the shame rage cycle. You know where it often manifests? Social media posts. You ever see that happen? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Insult, back and forth. They get into rages, they get into fights, they get into all kinds of shouting matches on social media. That's a great example of the shame rage cycle. Someone says something, maybe they don't like the narcissist post, or the narcissist makes a comment and people kind of say, that's not okay. The shame gets activated. Why? Because social media is a public space. And then that narcissist escalates. Many of you have seen this happen.
Many of you have seen this happen this week. Just going to pause and say, hey, Rachel needs a certain ratio, and so far the ratio isn't very high. Got 162 of you watching or in chat. Thank you so much for being here. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy Honda days. Could you X out of the chat for a moment and hit the like or the thumbs down? I don't mind, either or. And just a reminder, this is not, we're not diagnosing anyone. We're just taking on the wisdoms, the education, the training, and the experience of this very highly regarded, almost 2 million subscribers, I believe, could be more, on her channel, Dr. Ramani, and seeing what we can learn about people, maybe spot some things in people, and with that knowledge, with that understanding, be better able to navigate through the world when we will come in contact with narcissists all the time.
Or a narcissist may actually, in some cases, lose their career, lose a lot of things because they can't stop themselves in these spaces. They tend to often take their rage to social media. They tend to take their rage to Yelp. They tend to take their rage to these places where they can be angry at people. Then people shame them. You've seen this cycle before. So this shame rage cycle plays out in lots of places, individual relationships, families, and in public stages like social media.
So how do you handle flying monkeys?
Okay,
we can make this a short video and just say disengage and be done with it.
I almost choked on my wine when she in this section. So this is number 2 of the 4 things that narcissists will do when they're feeling like they're powerless. So I think this is a really important aspect to this. Even just the idea of flying monkeys, and I coined this. It was actually Amber's term. I put this term to the behaviors that were being exhibited at the clearly apparent behest of Adam Drives Helen, Land Pirate Radio. Flying monkeys. I have a song. It's fucking great. But let's just watch Dr. Ramani. Stan, love you. Subscribe to her channel.
Challenge is it's not that easy. And
subscribe to her channel because she actually puts out videos every day. Not always long ones, some very long, and some very short, just little, like, amazing. Oh, wait, but also press play. Sorry for the dirty pause, Doctor.
Public stages like social media.
So how do you handle flying monkeys? We can make this a short video and just say disengage and be done with it. But the challenge is that it's not that easy. And sometimes the flying monkeys in your life, they're not as toxic as the original narcissist. So let's address ways for managing the flying monkeys that are inevitably a part of your life if you have a narcissist in your life. Let's start by breaking down what flying monkeys are. They are typically enablers, but they can also be people who are ignorant about narcissistic patterns and do not see it, and they're like clay in the narcissistic person's hands who can manipulate them with ease. Flying monkeys are typically people who were at one time, or may still be, connected to both you and the narcissist. These could be family members, friends, co-workers, neighbors. The narcissistic person will mobilize the flying monkeys.
So sorry, I got to pause here because Zach very carefully clipped something for me, and it will get a workout. This video is going to run out.
You're an idiot, Zach. You're an idiot, Zach.
Love you, Zach. Thank you. $2. Boom, flicking out the twos. Love your work.
Typically at times when things aren't going well between you and the narcissist. Maybe it's a close relationship that's unraveling, a contentious family relationship, a difficult workplace situation, or a friendship that's falling apart. Because the narcissistic person is always looking for a way to create advantage for themselves, and they want to maintain a narrative that deflects any blame and responsibility from them and place it on someone else, and they have to end up looking wonderful in everybody else's eyes, right? Mobilizing the flying monkeys is a way for them to achieve all 3 of those things and put the blame on you. Now, that means that there are people around you, around all of us, that can be mobilized into that role of flying monkey. One of the most painful parts of flying monkeys is that these are people, they're often people, who you may have considered to be friends or trusted family or just good people in your life. Unfortunately, because narcissistic people are so skilled at wearing a mask, they may have tricked these people. And there are so many people out there who don't want to believe that there can be the darkness of narcissism in our midst. And any of us who have been through narcissistic abuse and really get it, I think we're regularly shocked at how few people out in the world at large do get it. Now, flying monkeys are people who are often vulnerable and recruitable. And the manipulations of the narcissist are no match for their rosy-eyed or naive vision of the world. Flying monkeys, like I said, can be enablers and often want to maintain a sort of
naive. I have been naive in my lifetime. It is very easy to be rose-colored glasses and to choose not to see certain things in people and be taken advantage of.
Pretty and simple view of the world. And who can blame them? I wish the world was simpler than the view of it that I've got these days. But that makes the flying monkeys vulnerable to a twisted narrative, and also one where the narcissistic person beautifully is able to paint themselves as a victim. Now, just like the original flying monkeys in The Wizard of Oz, they're a flock. They're almost like a flock of birds. They mob and come at you as a group, which leaves you feeling even more gaslighted because it seems like an entire group of people are on this.
Right, chat? I see some minds being blown here. Right, chat? And this is no shade on the people that I've referred to as flying monkeys. I get it. I get it. I got it then. It's hard to be stand resolute against a powerful manipulator like the one we've all been manipulated by. Just saying.
The same page in a way that is completely at odds with your reality and siding with the narcissist. This can be devastating if it is a family and you actually believe that some of these
Mandy
family
Jo's
members
here.
had your back.
Hi, Mandy.
Or you've had their back and been there for them in the past. Or it could be a long-standing group of friends whom you have known for years. In fact, you might have been friends with them even before the narcissist became friends with them. Or colleagues that you have supported for years. It's a betrayal. And because it's a betrayal at such a large scale, it is overwhelming and unsettling. So, to the original concept of this video, how are you supposed to protect yourself when it comes to flying monkeys? Sadly, there isn't much that you can do from a prevention standpoint. It's an exhausting life to have to continually monitor your life and wonder, is that person going to become a flying monkey? Is that person going to become a flying monkey? It's no way to live. In some ways,
I'm just going to pause for a moment to say, to read this comment. Rise Above says, I think I'm a covert narc and should delete myself. So that's like, we're putting some numbers in the chat, Rise Above. We actually speak about covert narcs, or I don't. Dr. Ramani does in the last video we're going to watch. Yes. One of them, definitely tonight. There are options. I think that therapy absolutely could help you, cognitive behavior therapy. And this is a very kind, supportive group. And the fact that you are, honestly, the fact that you are thinking maybe you're a covert narcissist suggests to me that you're not, because generally narcissists have no ability to reflect and have introspection and self-awareness. So don't worry, I've been looking into for the last month, am I a dark empath? Like, the gaslighting is real, Rise Above. So spend some time with us, like the self-gaslighting. Spend some time with us, because honestly, I've never heard ever any narcissist who is clearly a narcissist have that kind of ability to self-reflect and have that sort of level of self-awareness. Stick around, but we're here for you. This is the right place for you, sir.
Is all you can do is go through your life as your best you, and if the people around you don't seem to understand narcissism, be careful around them, because they are the ones that will be the most recruitable as flying monkeys. It's really where we can address the flying monkeys is what you do as it's happening or after it happens. Number one, you got to hold on to your reality. It's very easy to be gaslit.
Oh my God, the chance that I slide this motherfucker back and we go back to the start, yikes. I promise I'll try. Thanks, Joseph. You're such a good supporter of this channel and such a good friend. Love your face. Welcome, new members. We have cool members only emotes in the chat. I am planning a members only stream coming up sometime. This is only night 6 of 16 nights of Shorty. The threshold is coming.
Gaslighted and start to doubt yourself and feel deeply confused when lots of people are sharing the same distorted narrative. Trust yourself. There can be so much grief when you're experiencing the whole flying monkey phenomenon.
I'm going to go back.
Grief can confuse narcissism. Be careful around them, because they are the ones that will be the most recruitable as flying monkeys. It's really where we can address the flying monkeys is what you do as it's happening or after it happens. Number one, you got to hold on to your reality. It's very easy to be gaslighted and start to doubt yourself and feel deeply confused when lots of people are sharing the same distorted narrative. Trust yourself. There can be so much grief when you're experiencing the whole flying monkey phenomenon, and that grief can drain you and sometimes leave you doubting yourself even more. You know what you experienced. And even if the flying monkeys want to gaslight you alongside the narcissist, you got to hold on to your reality.
Well, then yes, Rise Above. If you've done CBT and DBT on and off for about 20 years, perhaps you are a covert narcissist. Not diagnosing, but Dr. Ramani does speak about that, and you're not bad if you're self-aware enough to and have done so much therapy and treatment that you're coming to that realization. Like, you're human. you're a valued member of society. You're just as valuable here. And the fact that you're aware of this, I mean, it's almost like the question marks I had all over my life until I realized I was autistic. Not to say that being autistic is the same as being a narcissist, not at all. It's just when you have answers and you can understand what makes you how you are, whether it be a neurodivergent brain or a narcissistic brain, or I don't know, someone who has dyslexia, which is neurodivergent as well. Basically, there's hope, man. And the fact that you are coming to that realization just goes to show that maybe you can evolve not out of that, but navigate with that knowledge through your life effectively and successfully.
Number 2, don't try to convert the flying monkeys. The group of flying monkeys with the narcissist leading the fray can feel a little bit culty. And sometimes the flying monkeys can get really zealous about their support of the narcissist and the idea that you may be to blame. All you can do is calmly and gracefully stand in your truth, even if you're so angry inside. Don't get into the mud with them. They will want to hear your side of things. And if you choose to do that, stick to the behaviors of the narcissist and don't get lost in talking about gaslighting and narcissism and other words that might put them on the defensive. Because when you use those words with flying monkeys, they'll often push back and try to paint you as the bad person. Number 3, keep in mind that sometimes flying monkeys come back around. Before you welcome them back with open arms, pay attention to who they were. And don't forget what they were willing to do. Flying monkeys may come around for a variety of reasons. They may get burned by the narcissist, or see them more clearly, or see that you aren't reacting to them. It doesn't mean you have to give up on the friendship or the relationship with the flying monkey, but you may want to proceed with more firm boundaries and be armed with the recognition that this person that was a friend that became a flying monkey, that they were able to do that to you. One of the hallmarks of survival from narcissistic abuse is to move cautiously and slowly, but it's important that you learn to not justify and to not get lost in the cognitive dissonance swamp. Sadly, going forward, it may feel like a friendship or relationship with this former flying monkey that's less deep. Again, a key mantra of narcissistic abuse survivorship is to protect yourself on the basis of the wisdom of the lessons that you've learned from the narcissistic relationship. And that means caution and boundaries. Number 4, not all flying monkeys are created the same. Some are trying to play both sides, being your friend and the narcissistic person's friend.
Girl.
Tread very lightly there. You do not want to be a source of intel for the narcissist with a flying monkey telling them what's going on. So keep your answers and thoughts terse and brief, and don't show your hand to the flying monkeys. Some flying monkeys are as bad as the narcissist and want to jump on the bandwagon of harming you. In that case, do not engage. Some flying monkeys are just stupid. Almost like the dim-witted kid in high school who just wanted to be friends with the cool kids no matter what. And sadly, in adult life, the narcissist often is the cool kid.
I love it.
The stupid flying monkeys aren't always dangerous, but they are definitely not a great person for you. You can do better. Number 5, hard as it may be, build new sources of support. There's nothing like a band of flying monkeys coming at you to be the wake-up call that you need to switch up your game and find some new people. This may start in places like therapy, but lead you to cultivate friendships with folks who are separate from the narcissist and don't know them. And make sure you do have a safe space like therapy to talk about this, because the betrayal, grief, and confusion of a flying monkey attack can be overwhelming. Flying monkeys are a deeply painful situation, and flying monkey situations have destroyed families, ended friendships, and even harmed careers, and all of that on top of having to weather the narcissistic abuse. Many times people will tell you when you talk about this idea of flying monkeys, it's all in your head. Remember, it's a real phenomenon, so just hold on to your reality and watch your head and your back. And if any of you have some suggestions on how to manage flying monkeys that you've used that have worked for you, please drop them in the comments. I've only offered up 5, but you may have techniques that I haven't thought of.
Let's Dr. Ramani write a song about them. Call them out. Yeah, I reckon. Yeah. Zach, thank you. I'm glad you're not a supporter of my channel, and nor are you a bloody moderator, because fuck, wouldn't that be a
You're an
nightmare?
idiot, Zach.
let's talk about the victim bully. I know you've heard about it, but let's just really break it down. It's really going to help you understand narcissism a lot more clearly. And if any of you have really encountered that victim bully dynamic in your narcissistic relationship, drop it in the comments. But the fact is, if you have a narcissist in your life, I can already guarantee you, you have encountered this dynamic.
You are not a flying monkey,
so,
Rachel.
The narcissist. We could actually almost call narcissism victim bully, but yeah, we call it narcissism. So the victim bully is one of the most classical dynamics in the narcissistic personality and in the narcissistic relationship. And like I said, I'm surprised I haven't talked about it. I think it's inserted itself here and there. But it's really important to understand this dynamic, the victim bully, accurately, because it also sheds a lot of light onto understanding the trauma bond. Now, let me lay out a scenario for you in a rough way. So there's a big, bad, bullying, bossy narcissist about raging around, yelling, demanding, being...
Rise above. This is the place. There's no such thing as oversharing in Camp Shorty on my channel. You've found the right people. I can't recall if I've seen you here before. I feel like maybe I have. This is a good moment to say, if you would like to, Rise Above or anybody here, my Discord server is filled with the most kind, empathetic, empathic, supportive, loving, wonderful people. We all treat each other with respect. We don't we set boundaries, clear, defined boundaries, and we respect those boundaries of each other. So my moderators will be dropping the link in the chat. I just love for anybody who joins the Discord, if you could please, when you come on in, tell us who your YouTube name is so we can put a name to a face, because not everybody has the same handle in Discord or on Twitter or X or as they do on YouTube. And to be honest, there's been a little bit of a skullduggery around their YouTube and Discord streets of late. So all we ask is that you say who you are, and if you're not prepared to say who you are, I'm sorry, not you, Rise Above, but anybody who joins, I'm gonna kick you. I'm gonna boot you, because there ain't no no one's doing any spying, okay?
Being selfish, entitled, the basic expectable stuff from a narcissist. People are kind of afraid of this person. They walk on eggshells. Everyone is typically cutting the narcissistic bully a really wide berth. Finally, someone snaps. They don't even care about the narcissistic person's rage, and they snap back and they say, "You are such an a-hole. Just stop. You are such a jerk. You are ruining everybody's day around here. Nobody wants to be here anymore because of you. We just wish you would leave. You are such an awful person." Okay? They say that to the narcissist. Then the narcissist does a Charlie Brown on you, head down, and they start in on, "Okay, I was just trying to do what people wanted. I spent the whole day trying to make sure I got you guys the right food and the right stuff. I was just trying to help everyone." And then they may lean in.
I just wanted to make a difference.
"You guys have always been out to get me. I am so good to everyone. Why do you always target me?" Okay, if that's what you want. You want me to leave? Okay, I guess I'm going to leave. Nobody wants me here. And they may even walk away, right? I know. You don't want me anymore. You just use me, right? So why don't you all just have a good time without me? And it's always seemed that, no, you just expect me to just bring all the stuff and do everything for y'all, but you have more fun when I'm not here. And honestly, none of you understand me. None of you even want to understand me. And then they sort of shamefully walk out of the room, and the whole thing is sort of sad and pathetic to watch, right?
Or they do an apology video on Kick, and they just have their last word, "Because I just wanted to make a difference. I never wanted to hurt anybody. I'm sorry if I made you feel taken advantage of, sir."
And then you, the empathic soul that you are, after seeing that, you want to reach after them and say, "Listen, okay, I'm sorry, right? We don't need to do this anymore, right? I was so harsh." It's amazing how quickly you forget how ragey and awful they were just a few minutes ago. "No, I listen, I didn't mean to hurt you. You were getting rough on everyone.
Thank you, Leona.
But we want you to stay, okay?" And then they're going to mope a little while longer, and you try even harder to pull them in.
Hi,
and
Britt.
Before you know it, the very bully all of you were scared and aggravated about a little while ago is the victim that you are now trying to soothe and appease and make sure everything's okay. It's the ultimate sleight of.
Yeah, Holly Berry, just a reminder, if this is triggering for anyone, you don't need to stay. If you're finding it that's bringing up old things, like Holly Berry says, it's still bringing up a lot of anger, not current, but the memories. It's very triggering. I feel you, Holly. It's very raw for me at the moment, but also some of these things that Dr. Ramani speaks to remind me of previous narcissistic abusers. So take a moment if anyone needs to take a moment, but also sometimes it's good to, like, it can be good, not necessarily for everyone, to remember these things, because we do tend to compartmentalize stuff, right? And put them aside because they are too painful. But if this is too painful for anyone, please take a break. We'll save you a seat. We'll save you a seat, or not. We'll see you next time. Take care of you.
Of hand, the switching of the masks, the shape-shifting move that they're so good at. It's the victim-bully sequence. Narcissistic folks have this mastered to a magical art form. Vulnerable narcissists tend to be the ones that are the best at it, but every narcissist does it. It's what makes the trauma bond so dramatic. Just when a person hits the breaking point with a narcissistic person, that the rage and all of the invalidation and the berating and the humiliation finally gets to a person, and they take a stand against the narcissist is masterful at playing the sulking, petulant victim.
No, Patricia.
And because most people stuck in narcissistic relationships tend to be pretty good, kind, compassionate, empathic people, they struggle with seeing the sort of the consequences, like that leave the narcissist looking so victimized and sad, and they recant and they find them.
Where? Yes, I'm mocking a certain person. K-Fan says, I'm coloring while I'm listening. It helps with the triggers, lol. Yes, coloring is very soothing. If you want to do things, color or crochet or knit or, I don't know, paint or cook, we're happy to body double with you if it helps you with your anxiety. Anybody, all of us.
Find themselves trying to cheer up the victimized narcissist, because people who've suffered narcissistic abuse are uncomfortable with that tension, with that conflict. It's a brilliant but sick maneuver by the narcissistic person. In one quick second, they are able to turn the tables from someone actually being really angry with them or upset about them to someone trying to appease them. In many cases, narcissistic people are so good at playing the victim that people tend to forget the bullying sequence that just happened and just focus their energies on making sure that the narcissist is okay. Another way that the victim bully sequence plays out is when you do call them out on their bad behavior. They try to play it off as a joke. You may say, you know what you just did or said, it was hurtful or it was wrong. And they will come back with, oh, come on, that was a joke. I was just joking. Can't you take a joke? And if you push harder and say, it's not really okay to make jokes at another person's expense or that hurts them, and that it sort of felt abusive, that's when they'll start to become rageful. Because basically, at that point, you're kind of calling them out as a bit of a rotten, abusive person, and that inflames the whole shame rage spiral.
Also, I've been putting up on the screen, thanks to my beautiful moderators who've been putting helplines in the States and in Australia, online, help organizations. So if you're listening, I haven't been reading them out, but those details are up on the screen or they're coming into chat. So if you're feeling like you need somebody to talk to, a professional to talk to, whether you're someone who's been living through or are living through narcissistic abuse, whether that's in a relationship with your loved one or a family member or a colleague or a boss, those resources are out there for you, and we're putting them up on the screen. And I will put them into my description box after the stream has ended, okay? So that'll be there for replay crew.
At their deepest core, narcissistic people know that they're not nice people. And when that primal stuff gets stirred up, their claws come out. Trying to make it about being a joke, frankly, is gaslighting. And it puts them in the victim position of being oh so misunderstood. You didn't understand my joke. The structural reason for this is because every narcissist has both the grandiose and the vulnerable elements encompassed with them. And they're grandiose when stuff's going well, right? But when the grandiose stuff isn't working, stuff in their life isn't going their way, or they get called out, or they experience something that activates their shame, for example, someone calling them out on their behavior, then the vulnerable narcissist comes out to play, and then the victimhood descends. The victim-bully sequence confuses people, but once you recognize it as a strategy or a tactic by the narcissistic person, it makes more sense than seeing it as the narcissist being two different people. They are, in fact, one person, one very tactical, manipulative person. Over time, this victim-bully thing has worked for them. Don't get me wrong. When they are hurt, and for them, hurt means ego injury, not necessarily hurt feelings per se. But when something happens, something that makes them not look good to other people, or they feel that they aren't being adequately appreciated, it doesn't feel good for them. And that's when they slide immediately into the victimized, woe is me. That part in and of itself isn't that interesting. Many of us, even non-narcissists, can pretty easily fall into a victimized space when people are calling us out. The difference is that the narcissistic people have the bully piece alongside the victim piece. So the juxtaposition of the two is what is so striking, that they can go from being such jerks to being so victimized just like that. I am thinking of one situation I had observed. The guy was a world-class narcissist, arrogant, superficial, validation-seeking, insecure, angry, treated people around him horribly. At one point, the person he was dating, and because he was so insecure, he would waste lots of money on gifts, not just for her, but for everyone around him, was notoriously big tipper, that kind of thing. Well, at one point, she was witnessing yet another of his rage festivals and yelling. He was yelling at various household employees and family members, but this time his girlfriend, who wasn't very nice herself, she had it with him. And it turns out that he had also just purchased a very expensive gift for her. He gave her the day before. But because she was so exasperated with him, she left because she thought he was acting like such an awful person. After she left, he became an insta-victim. He couldn't believe that nobody could appreciate him. He took such good care of everyone. He buys everyone so much gifts. He spent so much on her. So now his narrative was that she was just using him. And then he slumped into a deflated balloon. He cried. He told her he missed her and that people have always left him and he would buy her anything she wanted. And, nobody likes him. And he knows the only reason anyone likes him is because he spends money. Who knows if she came back to him because of the gift or because of him? She claimed she came back to him because she felt so bad for him because he was so pathetic. And she felt guilty, like she was to blame. And as far as I know, I don't have contact with these people anymore. The cycle still continues between these two. They are caught in their trauma-bonded dance. He vacillates between bullying and then when people call him out, becoming the victim. And anytime she finds her strength to leave, his victimhood, and I'm guessing the rather expensive gifts that he purchases, pull her back in. This was a toxic dance wrapped in a transactional mess, narcissistic relationship. The victim bully is every narcissist ever. We see it all the time. For example, when idiot celebrities tweet or post stupid, thoughtless opinions on social media without thinking about who they would hurt.
Thank you so much, Holly Berry, for gifting out 5 memberships. Welcome new members. We're going to keep this one. It's too good. Thank you so much. Beautiful. Oh, you're going in a draw, Holly Berry. I'm doing a raffle. This is the last night of raffles. I've got a bunch of cool Australian stuff, eating goodies, delicious things, Tim Tams, mint slices, Maltesers, a whole bunch of Darrell Lee chocolate and licorice and bullets and things, a jar of Vegemite, a pair of cool shades, bro, that I bought for the most recent narcissist in my life for Christmas, and then everything went to shit. So everybody who buys who buys a super chat or a super sticker, gifts out memberships, becomes a member, is going in the draw. I'll be drawing it tomorrow night, I love that I'm going to be called a grifter for this. However, depending on where you live, most of you are in the States, the postage is going to cost me, I'd say, almost as much, if not more, than the amount that I get after YouTube takes its stuff. And also I purchase the things. Anyway, I just want the stuff off my hands. Yay, raffle, Holly Berry, you're in. Zaza! Okay, let's do this. Oh my God, I almost slid it back. Jesus fuck chat.
Or how insensitive the comment would be. And folks, this is on all sides of the political spectrum, right, left, and everybody in between. I think maybe normal people do this too, but when normal people do it, nobody cares. But then the celebrity gets called out. And then it's a whole victimized, Oh, okay. I know. I wasn't thinking. I was misunderstood. It's so hard to be a celebrity. I'm shutting down my social media because I'm so misunderstood. Blah, blah, blah. It's the same thing. Celebrities and politicians with their
chat. Take a moment. Take a moment.
Enormous platforms and egos can be bullies, and then they immediately behave like victims when they get called out for behaving so badly. The main reason narcissistic people get away with stuff, it's actually quite interesting. We understand, frankly, that 3-year-old children need consequences for their behavior. If they mouth off, they get a consequence. If they don't tidy up their toys, maybe
Scott,
they get a consequence.
Come on now.
If they throw their food, a consequence. Hit their sibling, consequence. Don't clean up their cubby at school, consequence. But adult narcissists, no consequences. The victim play, that's their response to a consequence. We hold them accountable. Narcissists, every so often, we hold them accountable, and then they immediately become a victim. And all of us fall for it. Oh, poor, sad narcissist. But really, bullies don't like consequences. If consequences are good enough for a 3-year-old, then they are good enough for a 43-year-old. So when you feel pulled to rescue the victimized bully, stop yourself and recognize that they're just a 3-year-old that's pissed off about time off. Oof. It makes it a lot easier to try to not get in there and appease them. And remember, the narcissist isn't two people. They are just one well-oiled manipulation machine.
Let's take on this
Scott,
issue.
I will not hear of any Vegemite slander. You can say that about Marmite. Vegemite has herbs and spices and flavors added. Vegemite is amazing. Sir, I had Vegemite on my toast this morning. It's got vitamin B in it, not vitamin D. Vitamin B gives you energy. It's delicious. God damn, it's the biggest jar you can buy.
Issue of devaluing
Amy, discard.
and discarding. The classical narcissistic fairy tale starts with idealization and then moves on to devaluation and then discarding. Everyone thinks it won't happen to them, and yet, without exception,
come on now,
the story goes down the same way every time. To feel thrown away by another person is an awful experience, but yet it is sort of a universal part of the narcissistic relationship. So let's start by taking a look at the narcissistic relationship cycle. In most cases, not all by any means, but most, the idealization often takes the form of love bombing, which is another video in this series. So love bombing or idealization lasts just long enough to get you stuck in this relationship dynamic. Just when you exhale,
yes, timely manner,
and believe in the fairy tale, then bam, that's when the devaluation phase starts. Devaluation can start slow. It's when the little criticisms begin, when you start experiencing the contempt.
Taryn, yes, here's to everyone being mature cunts today. Absolutely. And Taryn, you know what? If anyone deserved this, it's not you, but at the same time,
I'll take any motherfucker's money if he gives it away. Shit.
Thank you, gorgeous. You're going in the fucking raffle, mate. If you weren't already, you're in the raffle. You're in the raffle. Dirty paws. I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm Vegemiting Dr. Ramani with the same brushes I do with Jen McCabe in the Dirty Pauses, but obviously, Doctor is on the good side, and Jen McCabe is very firmly down the bottom of the jar of Vegemite in the darkest of the dark depths.
When the gifts and the big nights out go away, when the narcissist's phone becomes much more interesting than you sitting in front of them, and when the sideways comments like, I don't know, like, are you really going to wear that? And other comments of that ilk start to creep into the relationship. It can be a real time of intense confusion in the relationship because you can't figure out when the love bombing ended and when the contempt began. All you know is it's though the weather changed. It went from being very warm to very cold kind of quickly.
Shelby.
The devaluing phase tends to happen just as you start to feel
you're on the list,
more settled into the relationship as a real relationship. You may have actually been resisting the relationship for a while, and you might have even been savvy enough to think, oh, this love bombing is a little bit too good to be true. I'm not going to be played. And then just when you settled in, when you felt like it was a real and whole relationship, that is when the devaluation begins.
Oh my God.
The reason
It
for this sort
hurts.
of
It hurts.
shift, it's a bit nuanced, but it largely happens because at the deepest deep, a narcissist's self-loathing is actually so deep and so unprocessed that just as someone does see the good in them, it's as though it activates their self-contempt, which they then project onto you, and then voila, devaluation. It's as though they project their devaluation of themselves onto you. Now, devaluation can last for months, years, and even decades. It becomes, before you know it,
Thanks,
sort of a
Steph.
new normal.
You're in the draw.
Your life tends to be punctuated by insults and by invalidation. The discard is just what it sounds like. Discarding is honestly like throwing out the trash. It's like they're done with you. Now, sometimes discarding never really truly happens. You may just kind of get stuck in the purgatory of devaluation forever. But discarding happens when they cast you aside. And this is almost like discarding is like, it can be really cold. And you can actually have a narcissistic relationship that keeps happening even when you've been discarded. So for example, your narcissist may have an affair, an extramarital affair, or just cheat on you. And so you were, in essence, discarded, but you still stay in the relationship. Or they may take a job or take advantage of an opportunity that doesn't take you into consideration. So either you have to leave your life behind to join them or be left behind. So they're just kind of doing what works for them. The discarding is often motivated for the narcissist from a place of both contempt and
you're in the draw, Poke.
Basically, your
Ellie,
narcissistic supply has become quite
Thank you,
stale.
everybody. Thank you.
And narcissists tend to be very
Hi,
novelty
Ms. Mullins.
so it all
Detective Mullins.
depends on
Good to
your
see you.
story. No matter what, it feels awful to be discarded from a relationship that you actually believe that you're in. Many narcissists expect you often to do the dirty work and end the relationship so they can turn around and say, oh, she was the one who left me. He was the one who filed for divorce. She moved out and walked out on me and the kids. Oh, he walked away from his family. When that happens, they get to look good to the world. And since the narcissist is often going to turn around and tell the world a false story, then you look like the one who was unfeeling or unkind or willing to walk away from something. Which
she did a shorty. She banged on her microphone. Boom. Is Marmite the less seasoned? Take two. Is Marmite? Yes, Scott, it is. It is. Marmite. Marmite is just the raw yeast extract. Sounds delicious, right? Oh my goodness. What have we started here? Thank you, Ashley. I just want to join the raffle. So if I win the Vegemite, can I request it be sent to the awesome Scott McGuinness? 100%, Ashley. Definitely. Because you can get Vegemite because Ash lives in Melbourne like me. So thank you, Ash. You're in the draw. Right. Let me write these things down. God damn. I'm going to need a new page. Ashley. And then we've got, I'll play the motherfucker all in one go, right? Robin. Robin wants to know what Vegemite is. Wait, I'm going to push this. Okay, now I want to see what Vegemite is. Here, look, I'll show you the jar. And I'll show you the cool shades too while I'm at it. So this is Vegemite. I'm not going to open it because it's an unopened jar. It's the biggest jar you can buy. Vegemite is actually manufactured in Melbourne, and when you drive past the factory, you can smell the Vegemite. And oh my God, Shorty's got her glasses off. These are mine. I have the same glasses because how cute. I bought us matching glasses. That's awkward. They come with this a little inspirational card that's handwritten on the inside. It's got the most delicious male cologne on there. Amazing. And look, if you want to be cool, because I am, obviously, they're the Sunnies. They're like $90. $90 Australian. They're exactly the same, but they're not. These, they're in here. I haven't opened them yet. So exactly the same as these ones. And a bunch of like Tim Tams. I'm going to buy a few more things, like some double dipped Tim Tams, etc. So that it's Merry fucking Christmas, chat. No, just say nothing about pirates. It's my gift to you. Take it. Take it. So thank you, Robin. You're in the draw. And wait, then Amy, like my boy said, they don't want you, but they don't want you seeing anyone else either. They need your supply. It's like a light bulb goes off. It's always on their terms, right? Right. I feel like some of what I've just experienced for the last month was because I wasn't playing the game. I'm like, I respect boundaries, yeah? If you say we're done, we're done. I respect them, their boundaries. And this is a group motherfucker. Thank you for the raffle entries.
I'll take any motherfucker's money if he giving it away. Shit.
Sorry, doctor, for the dirty pause.
Which doesn't feel good. Now, the mistakes that people most often make during the devaluation and the discarding phase is to ask that killer question, why? During the devaluation phase, they're going to gaslight you and deny that they are devaluing you. And in fact, they may turn around and call you paranoid,
yes,
or hypersensitive, or crazy.
Indeed. Yes.
Now, during the discarding phase, if you try to make them accountable for their behavior, again, you're going to run into more gaslighting. Now, people want to make sense of this process. So asking why is understandable, but there's really no sense to be made of it. Because the narcissist isn't going to cop to it. The narcissist isn't going to turn around and say, yeah, I'm not capable of making healthy attachments, and I'm deeply insecure, and I have contempt for intimacy. So I am actually, I'm rejecting you, and I'm treating you badly to see and test my hypothesis that you will observe my insecurity and that you will leave me. And my fantasy is that's the case. And then let's see if that comes true. Now,
no, just it's going to be a no. Thank you, Forrest. Grifters Insurance. You're in the draw for the stuff. I feel like I just probably have to just buy everybody a jar of Vegemite and cover those costs. It's bloody delicious. You can use it in cooking. Aussies, back me up here. Vegemite is the fucking tits, man. Thanks, Forrest. You're awesome. Good to see you.
They are not going to say that to you, even though that's the dynamic that's likely unfolding. So asking them for an explanation,
you're in the draw. Thank you so much.
More harm than good because they themselves aren't in touch with what's happening. Now, the devaluing and discarding cycles happen in families as well. In general, if you aren't just blindly going along with a narcissist agenda, then they often think that you are a
let me debunk that straight away, Rach. Peanut butter is delicious. I can't have peanut butter in the house. Australians love peanut butter. We have our peanut butter shits all over American peanut butter, but so does pretty much all of our food. Sorry, Americans. Yeah, it just is. Another dirty pause. We love peanut butter. Peanut butter and Vegemite are equal bay. Crunchy, obviously.
Against them. And in a family, this can happen when you just don't go along with the program, with what the narcissistic parent or sibling or aunt or grandparent want. Your family members, the family members will find out that they learn that if you appease the narcissistic family member, then you will be able to keep them calm and stay in their good graces. And this can be particularly profound if the narcissist has some kind of power. So, for example, the money that they may
DM you a
use
link
to control.
John just wants to take his shirt off, Mullins.
So if you do lay down some real boundaries, that's when often in a family, the devaluation and discarding cycle can begin. Now, for scapegoats in a family system, the discard and devaluation cycle is an eternal part of the scapegoat's role in the family system. They're constantly being devalued. And if the scapegoat tries to set a boundary, boom, they'll be discarded. Now, devaluing and discarding can also absolutely take place in workplace settings. And in those cases, it's in which narcissistic bosses and narcissistic managers and leaders devalue the people that they think aren't their team players. Basically, these are the people who are not the yes men or the yes women. And then ultimately, they may make life so miserable for the people who don't just sign on with whatever twisted agenda they have, that those people actually end up leaving or may get fired.
So we're talking not just only about romantic relationships, but also work relationships with narcissists. And Courtney says, put Scott's name in place of mine. I'll put both your names in. That's a big one. Scott, you're in. Scott, you know you're going to win this. He's be like, I don't want it. And Courtney. Thank you, Courtney. See, Scott, the love for you, the insistence, the peer pressure, the bullying, the flying monkeys are coming at you, Scott. It's a Vegemite. It's a Benjamite. It's a whole Vegemite thing. It's a vibe.
Now, the devaluation and discarding cycle is, sadly enough, often followed by hoovering. That's why it's a dysfunctional cycle. Some people get so disgusted by the discarding cycle that they do ultimately leave. But it's not unusual for that insecure narcissist who wants to keep control to try to hoover them back. Now, if you
you're in the draw
and allow yourself to be sucked in, that whole cycle is going to begin again. Idealization, devaluation, and discarding. It's just sort of this eternal cycle that's really only going to end if you're the one who's going to be courageous enough to break it. And it can really be quite addictive. Lots of people confuse the excitement of hoovering and idealization with love. It's really not. It's abuse.
So yes, it is abuse. Amber knows the terminology, and Amber also says, trigger, this is a heavy topic. If you need to step away, please do so. Self-care matters. Yes. But Amber used this phrase hoovering the other day. Amber, you know some stuff, girl. I'm so proud to have you as my good friend and great moderator, great friend, good moderator, all of it. You're the fucking tits, mate. Hoovering. I hadn't ever really heard of hoovering before, not with an official name attached to it. Let me just back it up a little bit there because it's important. It's important. This is important. All Vegemite jokes aside.
Evaluation and discarding. It's just sort of this eternal cycle that's really only going to end if you're the one who's going to be courageous enough to break it. And it can really be quite addictive.
Thanks, Michelle.
Lots of people confuse the excitement of hoovering and idealization with love. It's really not. It's abuse. And therapy becomes a key tool to at least start thinking about how to end the confusion and the conflation that love and abusive relationship cycles are the same thing.
Hi, MD. Good to see you.
Now, narcissists devalue and discard for many of the reasons mentioned, but also because they devalue intimacy and because they have very limited empathy. They don't really care how these cycles are hurting you or impacting you. They just do it without thinking. And in some ways, the chaos, it feels comfortable for them. They don't have any regard for how it hurts you, but they do kind of like the excitement and the roller coaster nature of this cycle. Now, these toxic cycles take a tremendous toll on the people who get stuck in them. Basically, this turns relationships into roller coasters and almost like addictive cycles. And these can often perpetuate early childhood patterns you may have had around rejection.
The joke is as old as the hills, so I know I didn't read it. But we got to start here. Sorry, Michelle, I should have given your 12-y joke the attention it deserved. Vaginamite for Scott. Vaginamite and penis butter, right? That's what we say in Australia, vaginamite and penis butter. Well, when we were 7, we did, Michelle.
In some ways, these toxic cycles keep their relationship exciting for the narcissist. And it's very easy to get sucked into their vortex and cycle. And for some people, this cycle, strangely enough, becomes sort of a reenactment of trying to win over their unwinnable parent in childhood. It almost feels familiar to be rejected, and it can feel exciting when you are hoovered back in and idealized for a minute. And in that moment, you're almost taken back to childhood where you feel like, oh, I've won that parent over. But then when the devaluing and discard cycles happen.
Sorry, but Zach insisted this has to be played every time. Anytime Zach comes up on the screen with Zach stuff. Oh my God, why can't it scroll like this? You're an idiot, Zach.
And it's inevitable that they will. Sadly, those cycles feel familiar too. And your ancient script of feeling like you're not enough.
Hi, Britt. Good to see you.
It's activated again. Now, some people allow these devaluation and discarding cycles to happen because they'll often buy into the narcissist narrative about how difficult their lives were. And the narcissist's lives may very well have been quite difficult. The narcissist will often share a story about having never seen love when they were growing up and that it was so terrible for them. And you endure the narcissist cycle because you believe it's the loving thing to do, that maybe you're going to correct it for the narcissist, and it's not. Allowing yourself to be harmed in the name of love isn't love. Their tale of woe or abuse or trauma, it may be very, very true. They may have actually had a very rough childhood, and you're sorry about that, but it's not your responsibility. It's not your responsibility. You can't change their history.
You can't.
And remaining there as an object that at times they value, but more often reject, is not only not doing the narcissist any favors, it's taking a tremendous toll on your mental and physical health. There are no winners here. Now, being discarded is an awful feeling. It can raise tremendous triggers around abandonment and rejection. And lots of people will fight for the relationship at that point. They want to maintain that fantasy of the happy relationship or the happy family. The fact is, in some ways, we are really stubborn creatures, we human beings, and we fight for those things we can't have. We get stuck on the things we can't have. And things often become much more interesting when they're slipping away or we're just not allowed to have them. We're all the kids who want the thing in the cookie jar. And don't fall for that trick. If you have been devalued and then you're being discarded, receive it, believe it or not, as a gift. I know that sounds paradoxical, but it's a chance to get away from a relationship that is likely making you sick. But to do that, you have to value yourself first. And that requires a deeper dive into where those scripts about self-devaluation come from and flipping yourself over into a space of self-compassion. Now, keep in mind that self-compassion is like kryptonite against the charms of the narcissist. Once you have self-compassion, honestly, the narcissist is rendered powerless and you can finally walk away.
Boom.
It's interesting to think that in a discard and a devalue cycle, that you could actually get that kind of power. You often feel like you're stuck at the whims of the narcissist when they will devalue you, when they will discard you, whether that's a partner, family member, or even a boss. But the fact of the matter is, ultimately, believe it or not, in these cycles, you have a lot more power than you think in the form of self-compassion. Self-compassion not only allows you to say, yeah, no, I'm not doing this cycle. I see what it is. It's not good for me. And allow you to step away. But self-compassion also allows you to feel compassion for the other. And as difficult and challenging as these narcissistic relationships are, as I said, many times narcissistic individuals have had very difficult backstories. In fact, it's what explains a lot of their personality and why it's organized the way it is. There is no need for you to engage in those kinds of toxic cycles. You don't have to devalue and discard. From a place of self-compassion, you can also let them go from a place of compassion. And in your heart, hope that maybe they can go and get the help they need to grow into a healthier future. However, that's not your job. Self-preservation is a right. And if you're going to preserve yourself in these cycles, you've got to exercise that right and break the devaluation and discard cycle. Thank you again for tuning in. I hope this video helped you understand the theme, the terms, devaluation, and more importantly, discarding, which are very much a part of the narcissistic relationship cycle. As always, if you like this content, I just ask that you hit the bell, subscribe to this channel. Not only will you get notifications about the rest of this series, but all of our future series and the weekly content we put out 52 weeks a year. So thanks again for tuning into this series, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Thank you, Dr. Ramani. So, Scott, I will add the links to these 3 videos that we're going to watch into the description box. So that and some of the hotline numbers, etc. Wait, so that's number 1. And who said it? Let me see. Poor Holly Berry's now boss triggered. We've got another couple of videos. They're not as long. Basically, anybody out there who's feeling triggered or not triggered but has dealt with a narcissist in any aspect of their life, you're among your people here, replay crew. the support of the chat and with you if you're on replay crew, but you can watch the live chat replay. Just swipe. If you go into the comments, but don't go into the comments, you just on the comment tab itself, just swipe left. And it'll give you the option to live chat replay instead. As Amber's been saying throughout, this is not medical advice. It's for educational purposes only. We're just watching and listening to everything Dr. Ramani has to say as best we can, given the meandering nature of chat. Gets us a little sidetracked sometimes, and I love that for us. So we're just learning some things and seeing whether we can draw some conclusions about people we've come across in our own life, not so that we can diagnose them, and I'm not diagnosing anyone, just so that we can be better equipped to recognize certain behaviors in some people in our lives and navigate through those interactions with those people accordingly. Knowledge is power, right? So RE Nightbot, I wonder whether it's because you've initiated him midway through the stream, but we'll problem solve it, Taryn, because Nightbot is going to be a salvation for my lovely moderators and their amazing links. But if Nightbot can do it, well, God damn it. So what am I doing? I'm not in the middle of the screen. That's great. I love that for us. Oh my God, she is fantastic. So what do you think, chat, so far? Lulu Bell says, I stopped reading chat and really listened to this stream. It was great. Well, we're not even done yet. We've got lots more to go. And this is the first of many in this kind of vein. I'll make a whole playlist for it. I don't know what I call it. Probably narcissists. Hang on, I've got a cough. Vapes, good for you. I needs me a big spoonful of Vegemite. No. Chat is bae. Wait, coughing again. Yeah, everyone go and give Dr. Ramani a subscribe. This can only honestly, her playlist is, I mean, her library is just so good. Boobs, yes, I'm staying. Good. Boobs, government cheese. Joseph, I love government cheese like life, but cheese is life. What I don't love is the throat clearing. Amber suggested that I get some pineapple to help with my trigger warning mucus from vaping and stuff. No, vaping is good for you. I refuse. I refuse to say that it's anything other. Lol. Love her. Scott McGuinness, welcome to the world of chatting and also when you're moderating, although you're just an honorary mod, you don't need to do any actual moderating. Yes, it is a pitfall of a good chat. Right. So we've got another video to watch. So this one, oh, wait. If you do need a therapist, be aware some narcissists can trick them too, as the victim usually looks crazy since they have feelings where the narc is lacking in empathy. So they look perfectly sane. Yes, government cheese is good. Okay. Let's watch the next one. Let me see. Dr. Ramani reveals, I can't see the rest, but we'll see that one is. So Dr. Ramani reveals how narcissists, oh God, I love
to narcissistic relationships.
Just started. So they always start, boom, straight out of the gate. So this one is how narcissists know you know. This one is like a 10-minute video, so interesting though. Sorry for the dirty pause, doctor. I'm really sorry. It's just because she's so expressive in her face. She doesn't give many moments where she's very animated. Yes. This play go. So I'll link all these videos, Scott, for you and for everybody if they want to watch it without the commentary. Oh.
Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Ramani, and welcome back to this YouTube channel that takes on all kinds of little and big issues related to narcissistic relationships. So some of you are thinking, I've watched so many of your damn videos, lady. I get this. I really get this now.
Hi, Brandy. Good to see you.
I'm going to let you know. In a way, you're kind of screwed once the narcissist knows that you know. So let's take that apart and really lay out what that means for you.
Oh, wait.
So this
let me pause for a minute there. My last very physically abusive, very controlling, a true psychopath. He scores 37 on the Hare's Hare's psychopathic checklist out of a possible 40. Awful man. I didn't really know much about narcissists until towards the very nothing at all really. I just kind of thought it was people who love themselves, like looked in the mirror. And when I had this blinding flash of realization that he was a narcissist, and we didn't have much physical contact then, but he was still maintaining full control over me by way of telephone and stuff. And I called him out on it, and I was just drunk on the knowledge that suddenly I knew why and how, what he was doing, all the tactics. I knew them all, and I could identify them, and I could call him out on them. And woo, he almost killed me. Like he finally got like the very last time I ever saw him. Yikes! Trigger warning. Crazy man. Anyway, carry on. Yes. That's the extreme end.
Consistent question I get from people all the time via the comments or emails or whatever is, does a narcissist know? Do narcissists know that they're narcissistic or difficult? And maybe even more important is the question of, do narcissists really know how insecure they are? Because clearly this person's insecure. Do they know? The answer to that is ish. Remember that shame, rage spiral I talk about so often? Narcissistic people aren't demented or frankly delusional. They are able to see that there are consequences to their behavior. And they know that their behavior at times is not a good look. But their impulsivity and their entitlement in some ways means that they cannot stop themselves and don't think they should have to. It's as though they will burst.
Yes, Crystal. Her channel name is Dr. Ramani. I think it's DOCTOR. Capital RAMANI. She has 1.83 million subscribers. If that's not a strong indication that she's bloody good and very worldwide acclaimed. I don't know what it is. Oh, the dirty paws. I'm so sorry, Doctor. Lord.
Burst if they don't get their nonsense out. It's that tension reduction I talked about. So they know that over time, their behavior is kind of causing a problem, but they will rationalize their behavior, justify their behavior, explain it, defend it. But yeah, in a tiny corner of their brains, they know what they're doing is probably not a good thing. And sometimes in therapy, if they're in therapy, they may even admit that they can't stop themselves. It's too uncomfortable. They just need to get it out. And they know it sounds silly if they actually spoke their truth, which would be, why can't everyone just let me get away with what I have to say? I don't really mean it, and I just need to let it out. I think that everyone is out to get me when they don't let me, and life is so unfair to me. And I do always know
Rich.
what's best.
Good to see you.
Why can't everything just be my way and let me have my tantrum? They can't say that, and they know it, but that's what's happening. So there's an inflection point in every narcissistic relationship. It's the point when they see that you get it. It's a subtle dance. It's something that's happening just under the radar. It's almost imperceptible. You aren't taking the bait as much. You aren't letting the gaslighting get to you as much. You're gray rocking a little more. You're not defending. You're not explaining. You may even be holding yourself a tiny bit taller because now you get it. Maybe you aren't putting yourself down as much or getting as anxious when they say they will cut bait and leave, or maybe we need to get a divorce, or when they throw their passive aggressive stuff at you. Interestingly, at this phase of the relationship, it becomes even more miserable, and the narcissistic person will act out even more. It's as though you have peered into their insecurity and figured out their game. And they don't like that.
They do not like it one bit.
When people start to gray rock, you can almost graph it. It looks like a roller coaster.
Woo!
The narcissist rage will increase for a while. They aren't getting the same fights out of you. The bait isn't working. Remember, they need you to take the bait and behave in an unhinged way. So then they can say, ooh, somebody's all worked up, and they can feel better about themselves. So they start getting meaner, up the roller coaster. They start insulting your friends or family. They start going after things about yourself that they know are triggers for you. They may make fun of your job. They may make fun of your cooking.
it starts getting more and more toxic.
For me, they may call out those Twitter friends of mine, may call into question my intentions and my integrity and my credibility. Those are my triggers. For Aussie, for example, they may question her ability to bring receipts and her fact finding. They know our triggers, yeah. For the Karen Reed trolls who have to, they're not necessarily narcissists, but they people know the triggers, right? People find your triggers. And for antis in the Karen Reed movement on Twitter, the anti trolls, they know our triggers, like Arca, and they go straight for them. And it's so important to be able to just go, they're just baiting me. I'm not playing. Cut off the air. That's what I mean when I'm been saying lately. Don't give them any air. It doesn't matter. They say outrageous things to bait you because they know how to best draw you in, right? Don't let them. That's the game. Why would you play that game? Why would any of us play that game? It's pointless.
You didn't think it was possible, but it is. But if you could stand your ground and not break, get to the top of that roller coaster, the narcissist will actually start to deflate. In some cases, they'll get bored, but they'll deflate. However, on your way to this destination, top of the roller coaster, is a world of abuse, anger, and rage. So if you thought it was bad before,
Scott, that's because you're not a narcissist.
You finally start to get it. Somehow they sense
Scott's not a narcissist.
For all of their lack of empathy, people with narcissistic personalities are tremendously attuned to their worlds, but from to the world around them, but from a very egocentric perspective. They're always monitoring for threats. They're always looking for that person who looks at them the wrong way. They don't believe that they're ever showed the respect they believe they deserve. They feel like they don't get enough validation for all their greatness. They notice the shifts, and they notice that people are onto them. There is a point for every narcissistic person when they recognize that they have gone a bridge too far, that they really, really pushed a person to the breaking point, and that other person they push finally shuts down.
Or just disengages and like, stay out of my face, get out of my face, stay out of my space. Nah, it rages them.
This can actually be quite impactful if it happens, for example, at work or with a lower stakes person.
Right, Britt?
The narcissistic people takes the people closest to them, like family and partners, for granted, so they may not know.
Pausing just to say, Taryn, there's 169 people watching at the moment. Are there 169 likes, Rachel? I don't think our ratio is great right now. We've gotten too sidetracked on Vegemite and the like.
Notice it there. But the idea that someone out there in their world, like their
not
work
now,
world or something, doesn't think well of them, actually really activates their shame. Once they recognize that people are starting to see it and are starting to kind of walk around the narcissist as though the narcissist is unhinged, that in essence, they sort of feel like they're being kind of handled by other people. They don't like it because it activates shame. But now they're in a catch-22.
Pretty good, Karina.
Because at some level, they kind of know they're unhinged. So it's a big, strange circle. And at that point, you, if you're in a relationship with them, may slowly work your way to indifference. Once you have the roadmap for narcissism, and I'll be frank with you, that roadmap is the reason for me even starting this channel. I want to show you every subtle pattern there is so you can detect it. So you can consider Dr. Ramani's YouTube channel as like Narcissism GPS.
It's okay.
Because then the pattern makes sense. You face the hard work of breaking your internal cycles of trauma bonding, etc. But once you see it, you start walking a much bigger circle around them, and they start to say,
I'm going to read this one out because Amber's got a good point. This also works for non-narcissists who are just assholes. Get suspicious. They might knock it off if they don't have a personality disorder. Another dirty pause. I just can't stress enough how, in terms of dealing with the people on the Twitters who are just mostly assholes, or people who are contrarians and just love the sport of the fight, they're not actually standing with any conviction on what they're saying. It's nonsensical. Just don't go there. Choose your battles. Yeah.
Say like, oh, they see. They may have a wide range of behavior when you start walking that bigger circle and go between rage and trying to show you that they can keep it together and try to show you I'm actually a nice person. They may go to
lol. Amy said, I just recently got a tattoo that says, let them read that again. Yeah, exactly. What other people think of me is none of my business. People that matter don't mind, and people that mind don't matter. Excuse me. Wow. See, if I had cheese, if I had government cheese, we'd be fucked. You just some people are just going to think what they want to think, and they're going to do what they're going to do. All you can do is navigate your way through that.
To insults, to passive aggression. The narcissistic relationship is all about control. Controlling the image of the relationship to the world, controlling the people in the relationship, controlling the narrative, and controlling the narcissistic supply. Control, control, control. So once you understand what's happening, they want to control you even more. And they will not let you throw off their controlling ship because they want to control the narrative. And yet, once you understand it, their destabilization will mean that they can't get the control back. And now they're going to rage even more. There's no getting away from the rage. You may be thinking, is there a way for me to understand it without them losing it around me all the time? Probably not. You will either get bored of this relationship and leave, or if you can't leave, you just might make the relationship what we call very perfunctory and mechanical, or you'll hope that they leave. Or you hope that they'll have a place to go to whenever they tantrum because you're not going to listen to it.
Right.
At some point, your presence is going to be such a shame activator that they will either try to destroy you with their rage, or they may leave and run away because your presence is too shame-inducing for them. Neither of those outcomes are going to feel pretty good, especially if you're not sure you want this relationship to end. Yeah, I get it. You might think, oh, I shouldn't want it to end. You may not want it to end. You may also wonder.
Sorry, she's talking about like a romantic relationship, but that's the same for a friend, for a family member. You don't, just because someone's your family member or your parent or your child, no, well, your sibling, there's no obligations to stay. You can set boundaries. Everyone can set boundaries and keep them. Setting boundaries is one of the most important things, and the things I value the most as I get older. Setting clear boundaries is so empowering. It's so liberating. It just, you feel good about yourself.
Is there a way for you to understand this and for them to not understand that you understand it? Probably not. Again, your subtle behavioral shifts are going to be noticed. It's frustrating and demoralizing because they didn't notice you when you were crying, or didn't notice that you when you were actually trying to get them to notice you. But you make a tiny shift in narcissistic supply, you give them, and they notice it. Getting narcissism, understanding narcissism is tricky, and your partner will likely pathologize you for the change. They'll say things like, oh, you've changed, you're cold, you're weird. It seems like you're getting a little bit less socially skilled in your old age, on and on and on. They'll pathologize you for understanding them. So the very thing that will set you free, actually understanding the narcissism, can make your life miserable for a while. In the long term, it's a win. But in the short sprint, be aware that it will be unpleasant, so you can at least prepare. So for you to just think about this, getting it, understanding narcissism. Once you get it, you might feel like, I have the keys to the kingdom. I get this. But as your behavior shifts, the narcissistic person you're in a relationship is going to notice it, whether it's a family member, whether it's a partner, whether it's someone you work with. They're going to notice it in many, many cases. And that might mean that they're uncomfortable, because what really was a power they held, and you know it was a power they held because you didn't understand what was going on. You were upside down with the gaslighting and the manipulation. Now you get it. You see it. There's actually a strange calm and serenity that will come over you because you get it, right?
Yes,
it's almost like, this is how you do the trick. And now it's not even interesting anymore. But they'll notice that shift and recognize they can no longer dominate, overpower you, confuse you. Then they've lost their power and they get frustrated. And that frustration is something you will experience as rage. Like I said, in the long term, it's healthier for you to get it for no other reason,
so that you stop blaming yourself and personalizing it. And that's your work to do, to not blame yourself. It's not your fault. It's just that once you get it, you should have unlocked the code. And this rather quiet, manipulative way they kept you under their thumb, you've kind of lifted it in a way. It can feel very unsatisfying as a relationship at this point, but at least you're not living in a place where you're constantly invalidated, confused, and don't know which way is up. I hope that helps.
It does help. Thank you, Dr. Ramani. Joseph, you would never go incognito. Never. I've never seen a chat where Joseph was doing Joseph things under the moniker of someone else. That would be just the cognitive dissonance, and seeing another person flicking out the memberships when it's not Joseph. Yikes. They do move on quick. Yes. Best chat. By the way, I haven't mentioned it verbally, but Charlie said, I think it was Charlie said, I love this chat. Yes, Charlie. And just for everybody here in Camp Shorty, you can use all caps whenever you like. Don't do it in other chats. So make sure you turn your caps lock off when you leave. But we don't mind. We don't mind here. In fact, we embrace the all caps. See? So liberating. We have one more video to go through today and a bit more of a talking. MD says, I used to keep a journal for years, put it aside, looked back a couple of years later, and only then did I realize I actually left the word I out of the sentences. I didn't even exist. Yes. What? Scott says, I'm a high disrespecter of persons. So I view narcissists as, who the F do you think you are, and why are you so special? Really? Well, that's a great attitude to have, because exactly. Not all of us are necessarily so Teflon coated against the ways of narcissists. And sir, again, envious. Kim says, after I was diagnosed with cancer in 2012, he would act loving and helpful, but the bastard had an affair with my best friend. Oof, Kim. While we were married, after I went into remission. Girl, I'm sorry, that sucks. Wow. Mine had nowhere to go because Pokemon Shelley said that hers left her after her back surgery. Mine had nowhere to go, so he moved on to love bomb someone else. I actually felt bad for her. Amen. Oh, it's Rachel. You sneak. Statistician. Well, I'm not very astute, am I? And Betterow called me astute once, Mr. Betterow, a long time ago. I like to think I am. But clearly, statistician missed it. Kim, we are so sorry. Kim, oh my God, I'm so sorry for you. Shame on him. The trash takes itself out, Debbie. Kim, thank goodness. Oh, you needed to add to our male drama. Okay, well, bloody Scott. Always causing drama. I'm joking, Scott. Of course not. Okay, so we have one more video, and this one is interesting. Well, they're all interesting. So, sorry, clear my throat. Un momento. Can't have anything to do with I'm talking for hours on end every day, when normally I talk very rarely and only occasionally do I utter words. But we're on day 6 of 16 Nights of Shorty. So this one, oh goodness gracious. Oh my God. So this was, remember I spoke at the beginning about grandiose and malignant narcissists, the more garden variety version of narcissists, the more easy to spot versions of narcissists. Well, this one was interesting to me, and I had a lot of oof moments here. So perhaps you might not be identifying with some of these really overt tactics that she's been talking about and behaviors. This one might resonate with you because not that I'm diagnosing anyone, but let's just say the 3 months and then the last month experience I had with someone who I, in the first few days, said, it's so refreshing. I see no red flags at all whatsoever in you. Oh, that aged well, didn't it? Yikes. Oh, Dr. Ramani, dirty paws. Oh, shit. I've just full screened it. You can't do that when you haven't shared the screen yet. Wait. Professional. You know me, chat. While you're waiting for me to sort my shit out, don't forget to hit the like. Thanks. Present this. Yikes. So 3 signs you're dealing with a covert narcissist. This could be the one you need to know because, oh wait, I didn't highlight it. Did I? Jesus. There it is. It starts on the dirty paws, not even me. This and this.
But I do. And you're like, huh?
Huh?
Like in that way, they almost mirror their affinity for victimhood to give you victimized compliments. Hey, no one else like you, but I do. You're a victim, but I'm still good with you. They might say things like, everyone else is against you, but I'm not.
Oh my God. What? I don't know what that is, but sure, send me a link. Drop a link in the chat, Amber. I don't know. No, can you... Is it going to get me copyright stricken? Because not that keen, to be honest. What about something else? Comedy schmobbity. We're here for the heavy jokes. Poke says, I didn't warn the poor girl. He moved on from her to another and ended up with kids the same age as his grandkids. Oh, yes. Hey, this one's not that long. Let me see. Oh, no, it is that long. Wow. It's an hour. It's an hour long. It won't. It won't. Hang on. Yes, we can do that. Absolutely. Let me just get it out of this chat, I think. Maybe could you email it to me? Oh, Jesus. What am I doing here? Like, what am I doing with my life? Bigger picture or right now? Questions. I have questions. Okay. This is live. Oh. In my ears, it just played back to me. What am I doing with my life? Bigger picture. Here, let me see. Okay. Pause. Internet drama, that one? Is that what it is, Amber? Yes, I presume. It's a minute. Okay, pause. Yes. See how problem solving I am? Like a proper professional. Stop sharing, but then share. Sorry, walk and talk, chat. Walk and talk. It's only a minute. Better be funny. I just need butter. Yum. Butter is a snack. I'm a big fan of butter. It's up there with cheese. Seriously. Play. Oh, it's on mute. Fuck my life.
Please help. I'm out of butter. Please drop a stick at the corner of Main and 5th between 2 and 4 a.m. Today's Sunday. I don't wanna meet people. I don't want new friends, no. I just need butter. Yeah, I just need butter. Butter is important to me.
I love it. Oh my goodness, I love it. That's great. Send all of them. Send any of them. Love. That's so funny. Thanks, Amber. MD says, thank you for this stream. It is a healing topic. I have to have the hospital remove my mother's breathing tube tomorrow, and this keeps me from having a total breakdown. MD, I'm so sorry. Truly, thank you all. Well, we will be thinking of you tomorrow, and that's a tough one. Tough time of year. It would be tough at any time of year, MD. Well, thank you for being here, and I'm glad we're providing some mental distraction and a little bit of levity in the chat. Yeah. No, I didn't write that one. That was great. MD, big love to you, my friend. Let's share the screen again. Let's get back to the heavy. No. Oh, I'm telling ya, we're balls deep in this shit. We ain't got no quit. We ain't got no grift, and we ain't got no beef. So this share again. I'll put it a little bit faster, just a little tiny bit faster.
Today, we're going to be taking on the topic of covert narcissism. But before we get there, I ask you always, please hit that subscribe button and join this wonderful community learning about narcissism. And also hit that bell and you'll get notifications each time we put out new content. So let's talk about what everybody wants to know more about, covert narcissism. The concept of covert narcissism, and it's also been termed vulnerable narcissism, is a more recent evolution in our understanding of the topic of narcissism and narcissistic personality in general. Now, in a word, if we're going to break it down, because that word covert is tricky because we often think it means hidden, these are the victimized, vulnerable, anxious, socially less skilled, sullen, and resentful narcissists. The concept of vulnerable or covert narcissism has arisen in about the last 20 to 25 years as researchers pointed out that our traditional sort of DSM-y conception of narcissism is focused solely on the traditional grandiose narcissist, which we've already talked about, that sort of shiny, charismatic, confident, charming, witty, attractive textbook narcissist. But what these researchers did a beautiful job of pointing out, and these include really heavy hitters in the field, Roningstam and Campbell, Miller, and Pincus, they all noted that this misses the boat on a big part of the clinical picture of the narcissist. It misses the group of narcissists that lack that same level of social skill and finesse, who lack the charisma, who lack the charm. And in fact, they often present as somewhat depressed, victimized, or even needy. They also display other negative mood states, such as irritability, hostility, anxiety, and even sadness. However, they are narcissistic, so they have the same themes as their classical and grandiose buddies. They are still grandiose, they are still arrogant, entitled, validation seeking, but it looks and it feels different when you're in their presence. For example, the grandiosity comes out in a more backdoor manner. They'd say something like, you know what? I would have been the best in the business if I had just had a trust fund like him, or I just had someone giving me money for my business. Or they say things like, I'm so smart that it's a total waste of my effort to even show up at an hourly job. It's beneath me.
Or they say, sorry, Dr. Ramani, dirty pause. Or they say, I have the best content and the best channel on YouTube. I don't understand why I don't have more subscribers.
I'm too good for that kind of simpleton work. Their entitlement also has a very victimized feel. So they may say things like, oh, I shouldn't have to take the time to take this ridiculous programming class, given that the professor doesn't know what he's talking about and I can program circles around him. Honestly, I should really just get credit for the class because I'm a top flight programmer. Okay, they say that. Now, their arrogance comes out as an antagonistic listing of all of the gifts they have that they believed were never recognized. And they will often, in a very contemptuous manner, dismiss the opinions and the knowledge of other people. Their validation seeking consists of a lot of sort of gloomily sharing what they believe their unseen gifts and skills and contributions are. And in fact, they are often the toxic person who sits around and says that they know better than any of the experts on any number of issues, or will constantly criticize people who attempt something, try something, take a chance, or who are aspiring to do something with their lives. It's interesting because the covert narcissists themselves will never take those risks, but they will mock people who do. Now, apparently, covert narcissists never got the memo that opportunity comes to those who seek it, and rather, they just sort of grumpily sit at home, wondering why their ship never came in.
The ship.
These are the folks who sit at home and wait for opportunity to magically show up at their door and knock, knock, knock. And in that way, they can feel quite angry, resentful,
Ahoy!
and sullen when they watch other people succeed in a way that they aren't succeeding. And they will often dismiss the hard work and the efforts of other people who have really put in the time, the effort, and the energy. In fact, they will often attribute other people's success to that other person's just good luck, not their ability. And they will attribute their own lack of success to bad luck and the fact that the world is out to get them. Now, they are not ever going to be able to notice, though, that other people are putting effort into something.
So I think a lot of chat, you might have some light bulb moments here because, as Dr. Ramani said, this is a different kind of narcissist. And I think, who was it said, Crystal, was it Crystal said she's never heard of this kind of narcissist before? I hadn't either, but I think we're going to really recognize some of these behaviors and patterns in this, what Dr. Ramani describes. So carry on.
Something. They don't even entertain that hypothesis. Now, simply put, covert narcissists are chronic malcontents. They are never satisfied or content with anything. And that dissatisfaction comes out as criticism, complaining, contempt, anger, dismissiveness, frustration, all kinds of negative kinds of mood states and displays. They will complain about everything. And that makes life a miserable experience for anyone who has to spend time with them. And then when you throw on top of that their tendency to chronically view themselves as victims, it feels darker and heavier and more morose than many of the other forms of narcissism. Now, another pattern that is commonly observed in covert narcissists is their passive aggressiveness. Now, while
just a reminder, thank you, Amber, for putting this in the chat regularly. This is not a diagnostic or medical advice. I'm not claiming to be a medical professional or a mental health professional. A lot of us here are speaking from lived experiences, and we're still learning with this stream, right? So it's for educational purposes. We're not diagnosing anybody. We're just maybe recognizing some patterns and some traits that. And that's why Dr. Ramani does this because she's trying to educate us so we can navigate through life with a better set of tools with which to manage our interactions with potential narcissists who we think might be.
While their grandiose and malignant narcissistic buddies are more likely to kind of just tell you off to your face, tell you you're stupid to your face, or tell you that you don't know anything, the covert narcissists are more likely to do this in a sullen backdoor way. They'll say things like, oh, must be nice to have a family that just always bails you out. Must be nice to get overpaid for your job. Must be nice that you have such a big house. You get the idea, on and on and on. And it's also quite manipulative. Now, there is a tremendous hypersensitivity observed in covert narcissism. In fact, this hypersensitivity to any kind of feedback, this is one of the patterns that will emerge in a relationship with a covert narcissist early on. They will often be lashing out at the world and always saying how unfair the world is. But one fine day, when you decide that you are done with watching them sitting there acting like a victim all the time, and you just say, you know what, just do something. Instead of complaining, just do something. They will typically react with absolute rage. They are very vulnerable in the face of any kind of feedback, constructive criticism, anything like that. And their hypersensitivity in the face of that can look almost like paranoia. They truly believe that everyone is out to get them, and they live their lives in line with that assumption. They really walk around saying, the world is against me. Now, covert narcissists are prone to chronic argumentativeness, especially around issues that may be polarizing and inflammatory. For example, they are the ones who constantly want to go at it around politics, religion, or current controversial news issues of any kind. And it's interesting because they will often vacillate back and forth. At times, they will be very self-righteous in their debates. They'll say, you're an awful person. I can't believe you'd say such mean things. How can you be such a hater? But then they are not at all able to see the irony at when they start escalating and becoming more and more unkind in their argument with you and hit you with contempt and verbal abuse and even insults. They don't see that. But as a rule, covert narcissists are very judgmental. And that judgmental quality often arises from the place of their own entitlement and their chronic feeling that they never got a fair shake from life and that they are owed more from the world. That sort of fuels this toxic energy in them with judgment about issues in other people's lives, all kinds of
Scott,
issues.
you always
And these
do
can
it.
include anything you could imagine, including, once again, their politics, other people's opinions, lifestyle factors, or their diet, their exercise, their weight, their appearance, the products they purchase, the things they wear, the jobs they hold, what other people's children do. Honestly, absolutely is nothing off limits with their judgment. Their judgmental nature is actually what often fuels their argumentativeness. And all of this
We love you, Scotty.
is a manifestation of their sullen arrogance, their insecurity, their chronic dissatisfaction, their entitlement, and their quiet rage that just floats under the surface. Now, these relationships are particularly abusive because they can become quite isolating and isolated. Now, covert narcissists, as a rule, are not particularly warm and gregarious and welcoming and outgoing. They are not naturally extroverted. They are not naturally drawn to groups of people, and they will not be on board with your desire to spend time with groups, with friends, with family, to go to parties, or to attend social gatherings. And what they do, though, is they will often speak really contemptuously of these social experiences you may want, and even use your interest in those activities or those get-togethers as a way, as a manipulation to attempt to induce guilt from you and also to insult you. So they might say things like, why do you always want to spend time with other people? Aren't you interested in our relationship? Why don't you just want to spend time with me? Oh, I get it. I guess you need lots of attention. You get off on the attention from other people. I guess you just need that to feel better about yourself. That kind of conversation, that kind of interchange with someone leaves you feeling uncomfortable, devalued, and even just having any experience in your life, the experience of going to a party or a gathering or an event, it gets diminished before you even get out the door. And God forbid you actually get them to agree to go to a social event with you. You can plan on them sitting sullen in the corner, making insulting and contemptuous comments about the people that are at the gathering or the things that they are enjoying or the things they're talking about. And they will spend their evening just like a little poison creature in the corner, tossing passive-aggressive barbs out about what is happening and looking so uncomfortable that you succumb to leaving the event early just to get them out of there because it's making you even more miserable looking at their misery. Now, this process can happen slowly and quietly without you realizing it. And then one day you lift your head and realize you no longer really have a social world you participate in. Just the small and angry world that you occupy with a covert narcissist. So that really begs the question, why would anyone be drawn to them? Let's face it, these are not the shiny narcissists who draw us in with their charm and charisma and confidence and all the rest of it. In fact, here you may be drawn in just because you kind of feel sorry for them. You feel bad for them. They may talk about themselves and portray themselves as a person for whom life never quite worked out the way they wanted, or they may present themselves as being very sad or anxious. People are often drawn to covert narcissists because they may want to rescue them. You may, for example, tell them like, oh God, no, you shouldn't feel that way. I see all this potential in you. And it's such a shame that the other people in your life don't see it. Like you really might say those things to them because you kind of feel bad for them. You may even put yourself in a precarious position, lending them money because they portray themselves as a victim that nobody
Yes, Kraken.
ever gave a break to. And so you can feel like you can sweep in there and be that rescuer for them. It's a very big part of the manipulation of the covert narcissistic pattern, how they sort of evoke that. And it can also feel very empowering for you to think that you can rescue them. And
Holly Berry, come on now. You have so much charm. You're just oozing charm. Oozing charm.
for a moment, while they may drink up your validation, and you might say, oh, look, I rescued them. It's Pygmalion. Look at me. Soon enough, they will find examples once again of how the world let them down and once again return to their victim identity. Covert narcissists are very contemptuous of close relationships and of the idea that they would ever need anyone. So you will often sort of feel this sense of dismissiveness from them. And when you don't do enough for them, they once again retreat to the role of being a victim. And then once again, you become one more person on a long list of people who has let them down. And complicating all of this is that most people who are in a relationship with somebody who's a covert or vulnerable narcissist often will not initially view them, or even for a long time, view them
Kraken.
through
Same.
the lens
Holly
of narcissism.
Berry.
Instead,
Holly Berry.
they're more likely to focus on the negative mood symptoms. You know, they'll assume like, no, it's not narcissism. They're just depressed, and they show their depression by being irritable. No, they just have really low self-esteem. Empaths in particular can be quite vulnerable to covert narcissists because it plays into the idea of rescuing someone who seems as though they have been let down by life. And the empath, who often has a very kind unwillingness to walk away from someone who seems sad, will often stick around and just start throwing bad money after good while they keep trying to rescue a covert narcissist. Now, covert narcissists may also share tales of sadness, neglect, and even trauma that go back to childhood. They may have families of origin characterized by psychological abuse, unfeeling parents, experiences with significant abandonment, and trauma. They, interestingly, may share this information very early in the relationship. And that can result for anyone in this kind of relationship with them in a sense of cognitive dissonance between feeling a real empathy for their history and for their pain, and then over time, a real sense of exhaustion from having to manage their ongoing sullen anger and a real sense of pain that you're enduring from their ongoing verbal and psychological abuse. Ultimately, you may find yourself making justifications and rationalizations for their bad behavior so that you don't have to deal with the guilt of letting them go. So slowly you convince yourself that it's the right thing to do to stay, or maybe it's not that bad, or at least he's not cheating on me. If you've been in a relationship with a covert narcissist, you already know the drill.
Oof.
So gang, this is just part one of this series, and I hope it's setting the tone what the covert narcissist is about.
It is.
It's really almost manipulation through victimhood. And many of you watching this are already probably saying, I know those patterns. And some of you, I hope this has been a wake up to, I had no idea. Is that what this is? Now, obviously, this can happen in a variety of settings, but in a family relationship, having a covert narcissistic parent or other family member, sibling, aunt, uncle, grandparent, anything, can be very challenging. And as a child, this can be experienced as having a parent who is never happy and is always angry and is always complaining about how life is not fair. It is exhausting and it is demoralizing to grow up that way. And as you transition into adulthood, their ongoing tirades about forever being a victim can actually build up inside you and sort of result in chronic feelings of guilt that will color this relationship with that family member or parent. Any covert narcissist in any family system is simply exhausting. The relationship is a constant back and forth between guilt, exhaustion, and fear of their anger, as well as helplessness that you can't fix everything. Another key hallmark of the covert narcissistic parent is that they will compete with you in a cruel and passive-aggressive manner. So instead of being proud of you, which is never going to happen with a covert narcissistic parent, or even the way a grandiose narcissist will, they'll view you as sort of an extension of themselves and view you as a source of supply, the way a grandiose narcissist will, because you make them look good.
Hey, I just wanted to say thank you all so much for being here. It really means a lot to me, and I know we're all getting a lot out of this, right? But I really appreciate you spending your time with us. Thank you to my beautiful moderators who are always just best mods, best chat, best community. Yeah, wow. Like, thank you. It's so much fun. So much fun learning. I know it's a bit triggering. I know it's heavy stuff to talk about, but we're feeling seen, aren't we? We're feeling a little called out. That's okay. Knowing ourselves helps us do better and be better and navigate more seamlessly through life, right?
If you do something and you do something well, that's not how it is with the covert narcissistic parent. The covert narcissistic parent most likely will become somewhat jealous. They may actually undercut and undermine your accomplishments. And they might even say things like, oh, well, if I had been supported like you, not only would I have won that award, my goodness, I would have excelled at everything. Boom. Or, of course, you're doing well in school. It's because you aren't growing up in the absolutely awful way I had to grow up. I would have gone on to do great things if it hadn't been for how awful my childhood was. And in that way, anything that you achieved as a child gets invalidated and besmirched because they turn it into one more polemic about their victimhood and their suffering. They may also become really sullen and really petty and resentful when you get recognized or complimented by other people. It could be as simple as a passing compliment by a teacher or a friend or a family member, or it could be at a much larger level, maybe a big award you got at a big ceremony. You may even be the honoree for something. And then after the lights go off and the ceremony's done, then you have to endure your parent berating you the entire car ride home, or they will project their pathology onto you. Oh, you really do need a lot of attention, don't you?
Chad, I'm sorry if this is triggering for anybody. If you've experienced parents like this in some way, shape, or form, if you need to step away, come back or not. Self-care is very important, particularly when we're perhaps seeing, recognizing behaviors that our parents might have inflicted on us.
So I guess you think that now you're all of that now that you won that prize. Well, I can still see that you're still you. You better not get too uppity. You better remember you're still a part of this family. You better not think you get away with doing less around here. Just know I see you. And like, I get the award, but whatever, you're still you. And it's horrifying. It's horrifying because this is a child or this is a teenager, and all that child wants is their parents' pride. I have known people who have excelled in all sorts of pursuits. And over time, they even dreaded winning or excelling because they knew they would have to endure the wrath of their envious, small-minded, covert, narcissistic parent. And over time, these gifted children and adolescents may even sabotage themselves or downplay an accomplishment instead of listening to their parents' victimized rant. But what makes it even more difficult is that a child, and even an adolescent, they don't understand covert narcissism. And it is so confusing and honestly scary to succeed and have it trigger this big, competitive, resentful reaction. This confusion can dog you into adulthood and leave you feeling almost, ambivalent about your accomplishments and sharing, and even feeling ambivalent about sharing them for much of your life. And it may even sap your desire for wanting to reach for bigger things because that constant voice of your covert narcissistic parent will echo for you and undermine what you think you can or even should reach for. It is a horribly painful and limiting legacy. In the workplace, they're not as likely to become the leaders because of their lack of political savvy, and all the charisma and charm stuff means that they often do not escalate to leadership positions, but they are very likely to be your sullen, resentful, brooding, and bitter coworker. They are also often the sort of know-it-all coworker who has all the answers.
For starters, Valerie, you're not old as dirt, but you can email me if you like. My email address is all one word. It's Miss Shorty, ITSMISSSHORTY @gmail.com. Old as dirt. Come on now. Come on now. We're all spring chickens here.
Who criticizes other people's work and contributions, but who doesn't always do a very good job themselves. They are definitely not good team players and will often be quite dismissive of any form of team building or cohesion. You may even sort of try to win them over, but by and large, that often only results in them becoming a bit sort of prickly. They may often complain about getting the same amount of work as everyone else. And they sort of bring this general kind of dark cloud.
Good night, MD. We'll be thinking of you tomorrow. Reach out to us. Come and see us tomorrow night. We're live from 7 Eastern, and we'll be talking about we'll be doing the Dark Triad tomorrow night. Then we're going to do some Free Karen Read the following night. We're going to go through the pre-trial motions hearing from before the trial, not this trial, the first trial, some important foundational stuff. And it's Beverly Canoni we need to talk. But good night, MD. I hope you get some sleep tonight, and thank you for being here. And I hope we could take your mind off things just a little and give you some loving support while you were here. Thinking of you.
Cloud into the workplace. But because of their victimized, sort of sullen, petty underbelly, they often do and often will threaten to and actually file grievances and lawsuits when they perceive even an imperceptible hint of inequity. And many times they will file these complaints even when they are working less than everybody else. It's not unusual for them to try and work all the angles and figure out how to cast themselves as a victim and file the lawsuit and get the payout so they simply don't have to work. And at some level, they feel that they're sort of entitled to this kind of payout. In this way, this type of personality pattern can be very expensive for workplaces. Their conduct can poison an entire workplace team and dismantle morale for many, many people in a workplace. You know, it's when maybe you've said this, I know I have, is that when you say, you know, I really do love working with most people here. And if just that person and that person wasn't here, usually covert narcissists, this would work so well.
I just wanted to, I saw Ivana's comment here. Where is it? Nope. The green's fucking with my vision every day. Ivana says, I've been battling PTSD for more than 12 years. I'm still under doctor's supervision and therapy. Therapy does help tremendously. I can relate to so much that this doctor is talking about. I think we're all finding this resonates with us. It's captivating, really, isn't it? And whether it's things that resonate or we're having light bulb moments, very, very important. She's good. Subscribe to Dr. Ramani, or the full word, Dr. Ramani.
Their resentment and hostility often gum up the work of workplaces, and they gum up teams and they gum up staff morale. They always feel that people are against them in the workplace, and they're frequently paranoid that people are actively undermining in the workplace. And believe you me, most people aren't taking notice of them. If anything, they're just wishing they would call in sick. Now, the origins of covert narcissism, while similar to that observed in other forms of narcissism, so for example, the usual stuff, the attachment issues we see in narcissism, the potential early traumatic experiences, the inconsistency in the early environment, or even the chaos. In covert narcissism, there is often this quest to be noticed by their parents or
sorry, ducking. I'm going to put the links to all 3 of these videos in the description box afterwards. So if you're finding a lot to process, particularly with the chat and me talking and stopping and starting it, I feel like it would be worthwhile for lots of us to go back and watch the individual videos minus my commentary and the chat. So yes, it is a lot. It's a lot, particularly if you're kind of new to understanding about narcissists. Or this particular kind, the covert narcissist, all the personality traits ring true. I just didn't really realize before watching this that this was a thing. That's not what we all know and love the old garden variety narcissist to be, right?
Or other significant adults. And then the parents never actually notice them. These are the parents who are deeply distracted, completely uninterested, maybe even detached. And they may also just be parents who are deeply unkind, who will tend to do things like shame and insult their own child. This can also set up covert narcissistic patterns in adulthood when a person experiences this in childhood. The covert narcissists have a much worse self-concept than we observe in the other narcissistic types. And they will often experience other psychological issues in their life, such as depression and anxiety. They
take care, Kraken. Thank you for being here with us. Wait, wrong one. Kraken, this. My PTSD button pushing limit. Yes, love you. Thank you for being here. Take care of you. Have a warm bath. Have a cup of tea. Listen to some soothing music. And we'll see you tomorrow night. Perhaps if it's too much for you tomorrow night, we might see you back on the next night. I don't know what night of the week it'll be. What's today? Friday. Your Thursday. Saturday night. Of course, we always do free Karen Read stuff on Saturday nights. Always.
They often did have very difficult, negating, and invalidating early lives. And that fact, frankly, can really pull for real empathy from other people, and rightfully so. But their unwillingness, the covert narcissist's unwillingness to push beyond their history,
So I actually think that being a PhD doctor is better than being a medical doctor, because that means she's done research-based stuff rather than treatment-based stuff. And to my mind, that's a very valuable thing because she's talking about the theories behind rather than the treatment of. I actually love that. But thank you for that zinger.
Therapy, and then add that to the mix that they keep treating other people badly. It's a very, very complicated mix. As therapists, we often see that when covert narcissistic individuals come into therapy, their presenting issues often reflect patterns such as depression, anxiety, a general sense of dissatisfaction with life, relationship problems, and challenges in the workplace. Now, their negative moods often lead us to believe that they are experiencing a mood disorder or an anxiety disorder. And so as a result, in good faith, we'll often approach them with tried and true treatments for depression and anxiety, such as cognitive behavioral therapy and perhaps even a referral for medication. Now, what we find is that indeed, many vulnerable or covert narcissists are experiencing significant negative mood states. And the negative moods, like depression and anxiety, are amenable to treatment. And you might see a lift and an adjustment in the anxiety or the depression. And then, unfortunately, the other stuff, the chronic disillusionment with life, their chronic sense of victimization, the belief that they are not getting the recognition that they deserve, their ongoing irritability, their general contempt, their almost sort of low-grade paranoia, that doesn't go away. And as a result, it can sometimes take those of us who work in the mental health world even a few months to determine that this is in fact more of a covert narcissistic pattern and not just depression or anxiety. But if this person, covert narcissistic person, is in your life, you also may not get it for a very long while. Keep doubting yourself, gaslight yourself, and believe perhaps that you're not being supportive enough. Maybe you're not a good enough cheerleader, because no matter how much praise, no matter how much encouragement, or how much money, or how much opportunity you give them, their anger and their bitterness do not dissipate. And before long, you find that you are throwing bad money after good. So I hope as we keep going through this series on covert narcissism, it's giving you a fuller picture, especially in different settings like parents, partners,
Thank you,
and
Shelby.
workplaces.
Enjoy your shower.
Stay tuned. We're coming to the covert narcissistic part 3 punchline, where I'm hoping you'll learn some skills and techniques
My pleasure,
to manage
Charles.
these personalities if they're in your life. Now, clearly, covert narcissism has a very different feel than the other forms of narcissism. You're not going to see, like I said before, that usual charm, charisma, confidence trifecta.
Another dirty pause. Sorry, Dr. Ramani. So we've got about less than 20 minutes left of this. So if you're hanging in there and you feel like you need to take a break, you can, like, now's a good time to go. Thank you so much. It has been a pretty information dense, potentially very triggering for some of us. Whatever you need to do, if it's to reach out to me or to come into the Discord and just do some counting, or go and have a shower, put some music on, put some candles on, read a good book, do some coloring, whatever you need to do. But I really appreciate you all appreciating this stream. You're welcome, Charles Cone. Yeah, we're almost there. Hang in there, chat.
Their manipulation, while it's very much present, is not as direct as we see in grandiose and in malignant narcissism. They tend to manipulate through their victimhood, their passive-aggressive words, barbs, and actions, and by pulling on your sense of guilt. Yes, they're definitely going to gaslight, and yes, there's definitely going to be narcissistic rage. Their narcissistic rage is most often in response to a criticism or someone giving them feedback about how to actually do something rather than to complain about it. So say, listen, instead of complaining about that, why don't you do it? Then they are going to get very, very rageful. They also do not present as social do-gooders in the way you will see in communal narcissism. The people who say, look at all the good deeds I do, now give me validation. That's not their groove. Now, their negative moods also differentiate them from the other forms of narcissism. Their vulnerability may confuse you, as you may view their vulnerability as a space where you might be able to connect with them. Now, unlike the other forms of narcissism in which their vulnerability isn't nearly as obvious, you can see it a bit more clearly here. But just when you go in there and you try to connect with them on the basis of that vulnerability, the covert narcissist will fight back, and they'll get really angry and contemptuous about the fact that you're sharing your vulnerabilities or even commenting on theirs. Now, love bombing with the covert narcissist may not be as explosive as it is with the other, forms of narcissism, but it's definitely not that big blow up, big love bombing. It tends to be quieter. You see fewer grand gestures, but in that quietness, they may actually end up becoming very attuned to you in the beginning of the relationship. And a lot of people mistake that attunement as intense empathy and connection. They sort of really drill into you, and it seems as though they're really...
Chat, this resonates with me so hard. These things are what fooled me, not diagnosing, but I have an inkling that the pirate is a covert narcissist, and these are some of the things, because these were so different to what I've experienced in the past with other more overt narcissists. So pay attention.
Seeing you, it's like they're really in your face. And interestingly, many people have said they say yes to the first date because they kind of feel sorry for the covert narcissist, because again, they're not particularly socially skilled or have that sort of glibness and charisma and all of that. So they say yes because it's nice to do. That is how socially awkward the covert narcissist can be in the early parts of the courtship process. This is very different than that sort of...
Again, zing, zing, zing. Like, I was listening to this last night, I was hanging out washing because and I was like just mind blown over and over again, resonating so strongly, so opposingly different to the usual love bombing tactics.
Swagger you see of the grandiose narcissist. The courtship phase itself will look different. Again, that sort of tell me everything about yourself kind of thing. You might find yourself, though, also tending to be a little bit rescue-y. It's not so much about the big nights out. You'll be like, wow, this is so cool. It's all so nice and simple, but we listen to each other all the time. You also may not feel the same sense of menace that you would feel with a malignant narcissist. But the rage for a covert narcissist is just under the surface. And they will, interestingly, quite often appear to harbor a lot of anger at other groups. And you'll see, it's not unusual in covert narcissism to see that they may hold inflammatory opinions on the basis of race, gender, religion, sexual orientation, nationality, but mostly from a victimized standpoint. So, for example, they may express lots of anger about immigration, affirmative action, about people of color, and feeling that these groups have stolen their opportunities. Again, they feel like victims. Or they'll be angry about women who they feel aren't obedient and not taking traditional roles. And it's not unusual for covert narcissists to really sort of take these really antiquated, archaic roles about what gender roles should look like. You're like, wow, I mean, it's sort of like holy like 1932, but yeah, that's kind of where they are. Now, a key difference between covert narcissism and the other forms of narcissism comes down, interestingly, I believe, to extroversion. Delroy Paulus, I believe at the University of British Columbia, he put it best when he called the malignant narcissist the disagreeable extrovert. And I think the same kind of thinking could be applied to the grandiose narcissist. I suppose we could kind of call them the charming, disagreeable extrovert. But when we think about...
Sidebar, I've just tried to type twice the words weaponize your vulnerabilities against you as soon as possible. But YouTube doesn't like me writing weaponize, so I'll just tell you.
The covert narcissists.
Both my comments
they are
blocked.
Definitely not extroverts. They actually tend to conform to more of an introverted style. They are often put off or even anxious when they're in groups, and they derive more comfort from solitude or smaller groups. And it's interesting because this can be very isolating in any kind of a relationship with them. And it's for this reason that people who are in relationships with covert narcissists will definitely feel that sort of damaging impact of isolation, of not connecting with other people, and honestly not having witnesses to how toxic your relationship, as well as the lack of support you might have. And you might feel this in a covert narcissistic relationship more than people might in other kinds of narcissistic relationships. And when a covert narcissist is very controlling, this can be very, very isolating because they may be monitoring your comings and your goings and questioning all aspects of your life while also not having any world outside of the relationship. So it's suffocating and it actually be isolating to the point of being dangerous. In families that are run by a covert narcissist, a mother or father, it's not unusual for the family system to get very isolated. This can actually be very problematic because it means that there are fewer witnesses to the covert narcissistic parents or person in the family's rage, to their hypersensitivity and their irritability. And the risk here is that it can really leave the family members feeling isolated, confused, helpless, and definitely unseen.
Unseen, that's a big one, isn't it? JM says, I just made my final move and cut ties. JM, do you know what? Congratulations. We are proud of you. That's tough. It is tough. Bravo. So proud. So proud. Go you.
Now, social anxiety is also a major part of covert narcissism. And this is a reason that it almost can trick people initially because it doesn't have the extroverted, charismatic top notes that we observe in traditionally grandiose patterns. The insecurity we see in a covert narcissistic person is often about sort of social issues and social matters and how they're viewed by other people. So they can be very socially clumsy. And as a result, obviously, because they're so uncomfortable, they may avoid social settings or just be more reticent or shy or avoidant or just hold back in those kinds of settings. And that can definitely throw you off the trail initially in these relationships because this is not the person who's sort of holding court, is the raconteur in the middle of the party that's charming everyone and telling stories and everybody's paying attention to them. They're the ones who look a little bit angry and brooding in the corner of the party. And the social anxiety is a chronic fixture, but it's manifested in any kind of relationship with a covert narcissist as a contemptuous disregard for other people. So they'll write off social gatherings and parties and events as just being a stupid waste of time full of stupid people. So they're sort of having this defensive reaction formation like, oh, who wants to be at that stupid party? It is defensive because they're just not comfortable with them. So it's just easier to criticize these parties. Now, this is different than traditional social
Amber,
anxiety.
yum.
In people who are socially anxious, just socially anxious, but who are not covert narcissists, what we see is that socially anxious people tend to avoid social situations, or they endure social situations with tremendous discomfort. But a person who is socially anxious will not dismiss those social situations contemptuously. They may do their best to hide their discomfort, and you might even look at them and see that they are nervous, but they don't behave in a way that we would consider mean. That's different than the covert narcissist, who will be spouting all kinds of judgmental and mean-spirited comments about a situation. A socially anxious person may at times feel very awkward and may catch their words or say very self-disparaging things. Like a socially anxious person will say, oh my God, that was such a dumb thing to say. I'm so sorry. And you hurt for them because they feel so uncomfortable. Covert narcissists will not tend to do that. Instead, they will disparage other people. Oh my God, can't even listen to this guy just yammering on. He thinks he knows something. And they're definitely not likely to apologize for any of their social transgressions.
Resonating.
Now, the covert narcissistic pattern can have a very toxic impact on you. Even from the beginning of the relationship, it is not uplifting to be with a covert narcissist because their negative mood states are so prominent. But over time, the chronic victimhood and the exhaustion of listening to their resentment and frustration and anger all of the time can leave you feeling very depleted. If you do keep falling for their tales of woe and their stance as a victim, you can wear yourself out. And you can wear yourself out because you're constantly trying to reassure.
Kim, yes. Kim says, when a covert narcissist sees people rally around the person they targeted, they go off the rails. Girls, did we see some sort of going off the rails in the last 4 weeks? I think there was 2 different types of narcissists, not diagnosing, just my observations. Going off the rails, pushing and pushing and pushing. You win chat for today, Kim. Not that there's no winning unless it's Vegemite. Yes.
Assure them and rescue them and tell them it's all going to be okay. And this will end up wasting for you a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of emotional energy, and you will have nothing to show for it because they're not going to change. So, despite how toxic this pattern is, the relationship with the covert narcissist, interestingly, can be very difficult to step away from.
Roller coaster of
destruction. The primary
destruction.
reason for that is often both pity and guilt. For many of you, you got into this relationship or you stay in this relationship because you felt bad for them. You see their sadness or their anxiety and the fact that life, according to them, didn't go the way they wanted. So you may even feel guilty. You want and wanted to fix it for them. And you may even see some of your hurts, heartbreaks, and disappointments in them. You might think, gosh, if someone had just been nice to me, it might have turned around for me too. Well, maybe that was the case for you. I could promise you, no matter how many people are nice to them, it's not going to turn around for them because they're so invested in their victim anger entitlement stance. And as always, the almighty threesome of hope, guilt, and fear are at play here. The hope this relationship will get better, guilt for walking away from someone who is down, and fear that you will end up alone if you walk away from this. And at least, oh gosh, this person really needs me to sort of prop them up. So that might help you, and you might feel useful here. But the guilt gets very sticky.
Hi, Jerry.
The covert narcissist, should you decide to try to leave them, They may actually really cry when you decide to leave. Not the crocodile tears of the grandiose narcissist, like really cry. And they'll say quite sadly that they don't think that they will be able to find someone else.
Chat, if you know, were there some serious tears that very first night? Not from me. Oh, well, they were from me. But yeah, genuine tears. Boo fucking who, mate?
The guilt then pulled you in. The malignant and grandiose narcissist may really manipulate and be quite cruel at the breakup stage, but the covert narcissist may not be able to manage the negative moods around this. And the tears and their very clear incapacity to
P was
cope
there, weren't you,
may
P?
make it really difficult for you to sort of steal up and leave the relationship, no matter how unkind they have been to you in the past. And trust me on this, despite those tears, they are definitely going to throw more than a few passive-aggressive barbs your way.
Or
and
just
that
aggressive.
may also reel you back into the relationship the same way they played upon your guilt during the relationship. These manipulations really work with guilt. Even their compliments can be twisted and passive-aggressive. They might say something as twisted like, hey, even though your parents thought you were dumb, I actually think you're smart. Or say something like,
Oof.
yeah, other people may not think you're nice, but I do. And you're like, huh? Like in that way, they almost mirror their affinity for victimhood to give you victimized compliments. Hey, no one else like you, but I do. You're a victim, but I'm so good with you. They might say things like, everyone else is against you, but I'm not. And it can set up this strange sort of traumatic bond because you think.
Chat, all those people, all those middle-aged women coming at me, bitching about me, moaning about me. And you know who was there going, no. I see you. I see you. I believe in you. I've got you. Lol.
They may be the only person who cares about you and that gets you. And that can also further isolate you. So it's like this twist of insult plus compliment, and then these other ways that they're saying that no one else gets you, but I do. It is their victimhood pushing up against your desire to be kind, to do the right thing, or even a less than healthy drive that you may have to rescue other people that may keep you in these relationships and keep engaging and explaining long past it ever being healthy. Now, when we look at covert narcissism in a family setting, you may be so accustomed in your family to trying to fix things. And everyone in that family has always been so accustomed to enabling the covert narcissist that it can be very difficult to shift this pattern in any meaningful way. What's interesting is if you do stop engaging and stop trying to fix them, they will actually become more sullen and victimized, as though you've given up on them. And it can be an almighty struggle to not give in and fall into your old patterns. So, given how difficult and toxic this is, how the heck are you supposed to manage the covert narcissist without getting lost in a vortex of guilt? Frankly, the same way you manage all narcissists. Radical acceptance, realistic expectations, gray rock, not engaging, not explaining, and not personalizing. It is also important that you do not get pulled into the, I think personally, rather dangerous space of letting their, psychologically dangerous space of letting their past difficult history, their childhood history, their family history, be an excuse for their wretched current behavior. The covert narcissist will initially pull out a heavier victim card if you start pulling away.
AJ's red eye, I'm so sorry. I was told my daughter, I'm sorry that your daughter passed away. She died because I'm such a terrible, uncaring person. The number of times people say the most revolting things to someone when they're grieving and cast blame onto that person. I'm so sorry. That's just disgusting. And I can't imagine. I've seen you in chats. I can't imagine. I mean, we're just chatters, but I'm so sorry. That's fucked.
And in fact, covert narcissists often really struggle with abandonment and will often become even more resentful if they sense that you're discarding them. Maintaining good, solid boundaries and not personalizing their negativity is also an important survival strategy in these relationships. As always, being in therapy with a therapist who actually understands covert narcissism is absolutely essential, because it will allow you to do the deeper dive on your own issues with guilt and with being a fixer that keeps you in this relationship and runs the risk of allowing this dynamic to devolve, honestly, into a rather codependent dynamic. And relationships with covert narcissists can often have a rather codependent feel. Now, sadly, just as with all narcissistic patterns, this pattern of covert narcissism does not tend to improve significantly in therapy. And it is a pattern, though, that significantly worsens under conditions of stress and disappointment. So when you have a covert narcissistic individual and they're experiencing considerable stress or major disappointment, under those conditions, the covert narcissist actually has their victimhood confirmed, and that enrages them even further. Now, obviously, whether or not you can distance yourself from this relationship is a very individual process. But either path, leaving or staying, I can promise you this, is going to bring significant challenges. Now, the pattern of covert narcissism can actually resemble many other mental health issues, including social anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress, and as a result, it can be rather difficult to discern, what am I dealing with here? And it's going to take time to figure out. It takes time for me as a therapist to figure out. I've worked with many covert narcissistic clients over the years, and it's taken me months. And by then, though, if it's a relationship, a human relationship, by the time you figured out what it is, the guilt can make it really difficult to distance yourself. As a result, therapy, education, and support become critical tools for helping you make decisions if you find yourself in a relationship with a covert narcissist. Now, let's just bring it down to brass tacks, as I was talking about before, that introversion-extroversion distinction. The covert narcissist, let's put it this way, if the malignant narcissist is the disagreeable extrovert, I think we can say pretty confidently the covert narcissist is the disagreeable introvert. This pattern of covert narcissism is one that has actually raised so many questions on my YouTube channel and social media. And so I do hope that this 3-part episode on covert narcissism has really, really clarified what this is, how it affects you, why we get confused about it, the manipulative power of guilt in these relationships. It's a sticky one. And it is, especially if this is your parent, this is something that can probably be one of the main explanations for why guilt is such a powerful motivator for you. And you can understand now how a person can go from having a covert narcissistic, guilt-inducing parent right into
Robin.
a covert narcissistic
Sweet dreams.
adult relationship.
Thank you for being
Thanks
here.
again for tuning in. I hope you're enjoying this content, and I sure hope that this video on covert narcissism clarifies this rather complex topic. So please, as always, subscribe to this channel.
Please do.
It gives me the opportunity to see that there's a community actually interested in this. Drop your suggestions down for other things you want to know about covert narcissism right here in the comment section. We take these seriously. These videos come from your contributions and your ideas as well. And as always, hit that bell and you'll get those daily notifications every time we post a video. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Dr. Ramani. Well, there you go, chat. Wow. Wow, huh? Wow. I think a really important point that Dr. Ramani made there, and I said it in my conversation with beautiful Tiff, Uncle Frank, earlier tonight. And if you haven't watched it, please go back and watch that one. Just about 50 minutes worth of pretty raw, beautiful conversation about reconciliation and unity and accountability. And yes, but being able to not take things personally, and that's something that I have really adhered to through all of the last few weeks, 4 weeks or so, because it's not, I'm not going to absorb that stuff. And that's really important. If you can, try to remember that the awful things people say to you, these kind of people, whether they're just assholes or whether they're narcissists or they have some narcissistic tendencies, regardless, the awful things that people say to you are not, it's not you, it's them. They're projecting. They're saying shitty things to try and hurt you. They're using their words as a sword, and no,
We don't. So that's a skill that I would honestly recommend that we all try to sort of enhance, work on in 2025. So many sad stories in chat tonight. Sad, yes. But the support, right? The support. I want to say thank you to Shelley Babes for suggesting me Dr. Ramani and also the Dark Triad. I really appreciate those suggestions. It sent me off onto a multi-part series that we'll cover. I'm going to get some more light stuff. Amber and I will gather together, and my girls will gather some little light things to throw in there so we can have some levity through all the heaviness. Thank you for wading through 3 hours of this with me. And together we got there. We've learned so much. We have learned all the things, right? Holly Berry. That was beautiful, Ivana. And thank you for your beautiful compliments just a bit before. Ashley says, I've learned so much from this. Haven't we all, man? I love learning. I fucking love learning. Anyone need a beer? It's wine o'clock right here. Ashley's probably having a little something. Touch some grass or smoke some. This. Oh, Charles says I ran out of non-alcoholic beer. Well, shit, man. That sucks. You need to be better prepared. I bet you Amber didn't run out of Diet Coke, although it might be a bit late for Diet Coke. Oof. I just teared up for the first time in a couple of years. Well, being vulnerable is really important. Crying is good. It's cathartic. It's good for the soul. Lovely Beth and Miss Shorty provided us in a supportive environment to let some shit go. Thank you. You're welcome, Laurie Marie. That's what we do here. This is a safe space. My Discord is too. So if you would like, if you're not already in the Discord and you would like, whether you want to talk more here about this, whether you feel like there might be people who could use your ear and your kind empathy in the Discord, because this conversations carry on once we finish the live stream. So the Discord is there. Someone will drop a link. All I ask is that if you're coming on in, if you have a different handle in Discord than you do on YouTube, could you please let us know who you are when you jump in the Discord so we can put a name to another name and make the link. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Ivana says, I've learned that you can't control others, but you can control yourself and your reactions. It's hard. I still struggle. I think we all struggle. But having the ability to regulate yourself as much of the time as you possibly can is really helpful to keep yourself within those realms of, emotional stability and regulation. It's a skill, and depending on how things are going in your life, that might be easier or harder. Having supportive people around you very much helps. This beautiful supportive community, and I'm so happy that I can provide this safe space for you all. I'm just like the conduit, right? I'm just giving you the space, and it's all of you, shorties, that make this space so amazing. Like, blessed. I'm so blessed. Gonna cry. Give me a second. Take a clock. Yes. Tea. Cup of tea. Thank you, Lisa, for giving us a safe space to vent and tell our stories. You're very welcome. Thank you for trusting me. I'm actually going to cry. Hang on. Colors. Colors is my very beautiful friend. Whew, give me a second. Yikes. I'm here for anyone who needs to talk about anything that's been going on with this entire situation, or if you've ever been bullied. I am safe and confidential. Please reach out. Good point, Colors. Colors and I and we're pulling together. Colors has found her purpose. Hang on, I need a tissue. I've got tears brimming over. Sorry, give me a sec. Now you got me crying, Charlie. Rachel. Not for tea and not only for support, but we want to. Colors is actually going to start doing some, and she has my full support. Some writing. Colors has found her purpose in life. Not that she didn't necessarily always have a purpose, but this is it, right? So reach out to me or to Colors, and I can put you in touch with Colors. And yeah, big love, all the love. Typos, don't worry. It's all caps and typos all day long here. Thank you, Steph. Those Discord links last 7 days, so it's easy. If you let it lapse, yeah, Pierre, let shit go. Yes, permission to let shit go. Wow, what a night! It's wow, like wow. You know what? We hold our head high. We learn. We be vulnerable. We be as full of grace and dignity as we can. Hollyberry says she's had some really good non-alcoholic beers. I mean, I hate beer. Not hate. Well, so yeah. Stookie says, love with all who do and have been with any narcissistic types. If getting through a moment, hour, day, many years, you are definitely not alone. No, you are not. We're lifelong learners, and if open to it, supporting each other. Thanks. No, thank you. Rachel says, sometimes vulnerability is not an option when other people need you more. Yes. However, be very careful of never giving yourself that grace and that time and that space, just giving yourself a soft place to fall, because it can get to a point where you need to let that shit out. Sometimes you need to let it overflow, otherwise it'd be a dam that bursts. Struggler. Holly Berry became a member. Holly Berry. I gotta get that soundbite just for you, Holly Berry, but welcome. And Holly Berry, you're going on the fucking... I run out of space. You're going on the raffle. I'll be drawing the raffle tomorrow night. I just wrote raffle instead of Holly Berry. Lol. I love how you all spell it L-U-L. And I'm like, I'm not saying lol. I'm saying lol. Crying gum. We need the fucking crying gum. Damn it. Where's Jay when you need him? You know, Jay sent me a message the other day. I think it was the Grant Smith. No, it was after the bombshell. The bombshell about the pirate. And he's a good man. Good on you, Lisa. No worries, Nick. Thanks, mate. Good to have you back in the team or in the community. Steph, kisses. Me too, Scott. I don't do well with emotions under stress. It's likely I've been dealing with narcs forever. Yes, Amy. Some of the most amazing peeps I've met in my life are boots on the ground in Free Karen Reid, and I have seen some shit. But who am I? Well, sir, you are Scott fucking McGinnis. Are you serious? Back yourself. Shush now. Virtual hug. It's okay to cry. It shows your strength. Yeah, but my mascara will run out, eh? Initial twin. It's okay to cry. I'm crying as well. Here, you know what though? Here I am. No, I'm never going to say it. Fuck those haters. Fuck those haters. They know how to try to get to me. Doesn't though. Hugs. We're good. Yes. I'm crying. Much love to you all. Much love to you all too. Yes, says Rach. I just hit the wall with you. Fuck, I love you guys. Steph, right? That's beautiful colors. Hugs for Lisa. I'm not tearing up. Liar. Scotty, don't tell me you're that hardened. If me literally crying, rude. It's fine. You're going to be tough. Somebody's got to be the tough cunt, Scotty. It can be you. Ashley says, I can vouch for the chat. Colors is a great person. Colors is an amazing person. Love, love, love. You can't see Colors Flight, Kim. What? Of course, says it's okay. This has been a tough one. This is truly a very good space. It is, isn't it? You know, and I did model my safe space on Jay. He's now called Jay Bronius, but the shaming of Jay, and Defense Diaries, Bob Motter, now Bob and Ali, and Publicly Buzzed. That's my safe space template, but with a little bit of Shorty Lisa thrown in. Yeah, you're welcome, Candy. Yes, thank you to my moderators. Mwah. And let's all cry. It seems like a lot of us need it, right? Thanks for being here, Miss Shorty. A good cry is good. Oh my goodness. Disclaimer. You wrong, JFK. You wrong. You miss me crying. Thank you, Miss Shorty in chat. You're welcome. Great stream. Thank you. Hey, JFK. I hope all of those in chat find peace. Happy New Year, everyone. Hi, JFK. Yes. I'm so far behind. Standard. Brandy says, that was a super tough watch tonight, but I am so glad I did. Thank you for being an amazing chat, and Miss Shorty, phew. Needed tea and an unwind after this one. Girl, I'm going to have a wine. It's got to be wine o'clock, 3:10. Absolutely. Colors says a lot of people have been hurt in all of this, and that people don't even know about exactly. So if people are, sometimes it's hard to push against a really strong mob mentality. So if you feel like you would like someone to speak to very confidentially, even if it's just to say how you've been feeling, no specific tattletaling or whatever, color, talk to me, contact me, and I can get you in contact with Colors. Yeah. And we'll do it. Just got off work. Sounds like you all had a great bonding moment, Misty. We have been through it, and it's been amazing. Amen, Shorty. Lost the stream? Jesus, fuck, Cheryl. What do you mean? Jay is one of the good ones. He really is. I'm not even putting it up on the screen, Amy, but yes. Did he send it in fan mail? Oh, praying for you, Amy. Wait, what? What did I miss? Many things. The point? Never. Misty. Oh, yes. Praying for you, Amy. Of course. Joe, what did I miss? Ugh. Hey, Amy has a GoFundMe for, well, I mean, there's something serious to get through first, but it's going to be fine. And then she's getting new boobs. So we love you, Amy, and we are here for you. Charles Cohn says, do you think narcissists have a sense of humor, or are they just miserable? In my experience, and I'm not a medical health professional or a mental health professional, in my experience, narcissists tend to mimic what they think is funny. So if they get a laugh out of someone on something, they kind of read the situation, because that's what I do with everything, because they don't actually feel many emotions much, in my experience. So I think they learn, right? I didn't cry for him, mate. Trust me, crying wasn't part of my repertoire. Jesus, fuck, Rachel. We're all stronger than we know. We are. You got this, babe. You do. Soon to be honorary Aussie Scott McGuinness. He's getting all of the Vegemite. It's the Scott McGuinness Vegemite Fund. JFK is taking off. Scott is an alarm. What is that? What are they? What is that? I thought they were alarms. I was going, woo! Okay, Scott. See, I knew it. Oh, shit. Someone blocked someone. God, you guys. Why can't we all just get along? I do have waterproof mascara, JFK. Chat is Bay. Men don't cry, do they? Of course they do. Real men do. Men, everybody cries. Real men cry. Yes. Colors, facts. Oh, God. Michelle, I'm not putting anything on. We're not doing pedo pirates. Oh, snap. She said it. Jay, did he send fan mail? Silly. He sent love and some questions because he was curious, and he went straight to the source. And that's what I like. Ask me. Curious? Ask me. Don't be speculating. Miserable. Who? Me? Never. If you were on the other side and realizing it like Uncle Frank, please reach out to me. Yes, I am safe and completely understanding. Me too. Me too. Honestly, new titty fund. Yes. Rach says, oh, they have a sense of humor, right? Whether or not it's genuine is another question. Yeah. They laugh when everyone else laughs. Chameleons. They mimic others' emotions, right? They can be charming with simple humor to appeal to all. My very abusive former, like not the pirate. He wasn't abusive. Oh, well, not. Anyway, regardless, the one before George, he was an odd bod. Oh my god. Wow, when the mask slipped, it fucking slipped, mate. It shattered when it fell. But he just didn't get so many things. He was just so. I have a feeling actually also autistic. So I mean, there can be bad autistic folk also. But he used to. One time he'd be like, I can't even. He goes, "What a tripper! What a fucking tripper!" He goes, he'd go, "How do you know when it's tax time?" And he'd go, "I don't know. How do you know?" And he'd go, "Because," and we'd be like, "What?" And he'd crack up. And obviously he'd done it once and people had laughed at him because what a fucking tripper. And he just kept doing it. That was his best joke. And we're like, what the? Yeah. My mouse just died. Okay, let me get to the bottom. Thanks for being here, you all. Yes. Oh my God, what did I just do? Thank you so much. Turbulence in the chat. No. I don't know how to undo it. Yikes. Power, all caps. Excuse me, Scott. I just said I'm ugly crying. Hello from Florida. Hi, Jerry. Hugs. Oh, hugs. Okay, thank you. I appreciate honesty. No hiding. Nah, we got nothing to hide. Always shine the light into the darkest corners. Full transparency. Always. A narc will dim your light to brighten their own, sometimes making fun of you for laughs and or attention. Yes. If you haven't listened to my song Hurting People, it's bloody zinger. Susan says, boomer love. I'm JFK. I'm secretly in love with you. Laughing my ass. Cough. Susan, I love you too. Well, see, love is love, JFK, right? When she asked that question, if they miserable, something else I said miserable. Okay, cool. Prayers for a successful surgery and a complete recovery, Amy. You've got this. Fuck cancer. Girl code. We've got this. Yes. IMO. There is different funny and a definite difference between dark funny humor and dark vindictive. Yes, some people like to make fun of others for their comedy act. Not how we roll. I mean, some things are fucking funny, but their sense of humor is usually just right. Oh, don't take it so seriously. You're too sensitive. Fuck, I was just joking. Right. Didn't feel like it. Always keeping it real. I didn't know Uncle Frank had a YouTube channel. She came up in my feed and her apology was really nice to see. Yes. Can everybody please go and subscribe to Uncle Frank? Because that took some fucking balls, right? What Uncle Frank did, which was to reach out to me via text. Actually, Auntie Deb gave me Frank's phone number. I texted Tiff, Frank, and said, hey, are you okay, Lisa? And she said, no, I'm okay. Are you okay? And that was massive. That was massive. That's massive kudos, mad respect. So let's all subscribe to Uncle Frank. She's so real, Tiff. She's on dialysis. Can I just say she needs a new kidney? And it still stands. Had I moved to the States as per the plan, not for a green card, for love. And if my blood type was the same as Tiff's and it was all okay, I would. And still, I told Tiff right from the jump, I'll give you one of my kidneys. I don't need two. Who needs them? Okay, LA, let's go. Yes, chat is bae. Amber's making dinner. Oh my God. Laughing my ass kicker. James is my husband. Well, LA, that's nice. Does he know that? James is eating Oreos. Hi, James. Yum. Does he eat them as just crunching them? Or does he open them up and eat them like he properly should eat them? Okay. JFK, is he lost in the cookie aisle? LA says, oh my God, JFK, I'm eating Oreo ice cream. Obviously, we are soulmates. Shorty, I'll do it for the green card. Don't. This is what got us in the... You know what? A joke, Jimmy, Auntie Deb made that joke right back months ago. And I said, oh my God, you are gorgeous to Jimmy, to Auntie Deb. Like he is, inside and out, gorgeous man. And he said, well, you know what? If you want here, you can come over here. And we can get married. It won't be a regular marriage, a traditional marriage, but sure. And then the pirate chimed in, Aaron, I'll come over in Helen and come and pick you up and we can. Interesting. Anyway, me too. Don't tell me I'm at the bottom of the chat. Lord, hear our prayer. So chat, I'll see you tomorrow night at 7 if you've got the emotional fortitude and the spoons to come and we'll talk about the dark triad. I think it might be a little less personal. So there's some people who have a 3-pronged cluster of personality traits. They're not disorders, of psychopathy, narcissism, and Machiavellianism. This was the stream I was going to do tonight, and then I realized that we needed to start with some more foundational stuff. So it's going to be really interesting. I think some of you might notice some very overt things we've been witnessing on social media of late. So that'll be fun. I think it'll be fun. And we'll do some funny, lighthearted stuff in the middle just to not get it so heavy. JFK says, Amy, blessings. Love is love. Look, JFK loves the all caps. JFK, all caps around here, they're fucking rides. They fly. Just turn your all caps off when you get out of the Camp Shorty, JFK, because the other creators might have a little baby about it. They might have a little cow. Remember, the USA can be hell if you get sick, even if you're financially stable with insurance. They often say no. Yeah, I'd say in Australia, well, who knows? I'm a gypsy. I'll go wherever we may roam. Ivana needs a good laugh. Good. JFK, is stealing cars a form of narcissistic traits? I'm not sure. I think it's by necessity, right? I don't know. Whose car are you stealing? I don't have one. You can't steal my car. No. Okay, chat. Thank you for all the beautiful raffle entries. I've said thank you along the way. Everybody's written down. We'll be drawing the raffle tomorrow night. I'm going to spend some time writing up some names, all of the names, onto little things, and I'll get a little bowl. I'm doing it old school, mate, and we're going to reach in and pick out a name. Scott wants the Vegemite. Scott's getting Vegemite regardless. And yes, thank you so much. Sweet dreams. Metallica reference. Nice. Hi, Miss Shorty. I hope you are feeling stronger. You look awesome as usual. Thank you. I'm always strong, mate. Stronger together, right? KKK. Scott, you want to. And excuse me, sir, are you suggesting this is not a big show? How dare you? That's assault. Good night. Hey, I've got no music anymore. Give me a minute. No more music. So when I go, we're fucking gone. So are we done? Tell me, are we done? I'll leave the chat open for a little while. Great show, Lisa. Thank you. Take care and stay safe, everyone. Absolutely. Mwah. Go and eat some Christmas leftovers out of the fridge. Just stand there and eat them. I'll see you tomorrow at 7. Love your faces, everyone. Thanks, mods. Thanks, chat. Bye.